Hey, everybody, welcome to the Player's Take, episode 206. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host, Montrell Rice. Montrell, how are you doing this week?
Hey, what's up?
We got iced in, man. Working from home all week. Couldn't go anywhere. Today, kind of cleared up, mostly.
Yeah, I'm going in tomorrow. Unfortunately, we
Couldn't
got
get the
the
whole week, you know?
we got the go ahead from the office to come in tomorrow. So I'm gonna go in tomorrow.
Yeah, well, it was kind of weird, actually, because it kind of cleared up yesterday. Not all the way, but
hmm
we were supposed to get snow yesterday, and we just kind of didn't. It just rained. Um,
Yeah, hopefully. I'm looking at my little Microsoft thing. I don't know if you have it on yours, but like
mhm.
mine's at the bottom tells me so it's the snow. Hopefully, once we get done with the podcast, I actually really want some fucking pizza. Like I've been home cooking all week, so that's fine. I've been saving a lot of money
Yeah,
home cooking and
same.
everything. My cooking's really good, but
Yeah.
yeah, I really want some fucking pizza.
Dude,
So
I'm in the same boat. I'm literally like, I was like thinking it all day today. I'm like, man, I'm gonna go out and get something tonight. I'm fucking like, I'm
yeah,
sick of just eating at home. So I'm probably gonna do the same thing. But no, it was good though. I mean, I came back from vacation from work to Ice Mageddon basically, and didn't have to go into the office, which was great. So, of course, I comboed that with 2 straight nights of staying up till 3 a.m. playing League, which was fucking absolutely like mental, just idiot, moronic shit. Like, I don't know
yeah.
why. I don't know why we
I
did
can't
that to
believe,
ourselves, and like I refuse to do that on a work night again. Like I'm putting my foot down.
bro. I used to play this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I even start working at Container Store or anything. Before I met y'all, I used to play this game. I used to go like 10 to 20 games a night.
Oh
Like
my
it
god.
was bad.
Holy shit.
Uh, I cannot remember the last time like I did. Like what
What
we
we
were
did,
doing yesterday.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, what we were doing yesterday is what I would do. I had to learn how to discipline myself. But I would keep going until I just fucking win one game. And they're like, all right, I'm getting off for the night. I won a
That's what
game
we
or
were
whatever.
doing, man. We were
Yeah.
falling into that trap, dude. And I'm like, I went to bed and I'm like, bro, this is why I quit Dota. Like, no, this exact thing is why I quit Dota, because I would do this shit too. Like the same thing where I would be obsessed with that game, bro. And I solo queued Dota hard. Like I was super into it, man. Like,
hmm
and I don't solo queue League at all because I don't know, I can't deal with the randos. But dude, I would play it, and like, yeah, you would have that night where you just lose, and you keep going until you try to keep going until you get a win, and you would dig the hole deeper and deeper and deeper, and then you wouldn't get the win, and it would be 3 a.m. and you'd be like, fuck, man. So you go to bed and you're miserable, and then you wake up the next day and you're a fucking zombie. You just ruined your whole next day to lose more games in a MOBA. Like it's
Yeah.
such a dumb like chase. I don't it's weird. I can't believe we like did it to ourselves this week twice, like 2 days in a row. But yeah, I'm not doing that shit again, man. Like I was thinking about it. I'm like, dude, we won. You know what was fucking dumb about it is the first night I looked at or I think it was the second night. I looked at I looked at match history, and we had won 3 games in a row, and then we lost the game we started at midnight, and we got mad because it was a bad game, and we kept going 2 more times. We had won 3 games before that. I'm like, how fucking dumb are we? Like, what are we doing? Like, we're fucking 30-year-old adults. Like, oh my god. Like, so yeah, probably not doing that again.
Yeah, I think the hard cutoff for me is gonna be 130. Like that's the hard
Yeah,
cutoff for me.
like I think if it's one and we just finished a game, I'm getting off. Like
Okay.
I'm not starting another one at that point. If it's like 12:30 to 12:45, depending on the night, I may say yes to that. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
with you. Like I can't do that shit, man. Like I was lucky I was working from home as well because it gives me an extra hour of sleep. But yeah, dude, yesterday I didn't get on at all. I didn't even think about getting on. I was just like, nah, I can't do this today, dude.
Or
Like,
yesterday, I didn't even touch a video game.
yeah.
Like that's how bad it
I
was.
didn't I honestly didn't either for the most part. I think I played about 30 minutes of Fire Emblem. I dude, all I did was My Hero Academia's new season is like almost like 2/3 complete. Dude, I just binged it all night. Like that's all I did yesterday. So yeah. Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. Life of a hardcore gaming motherfuckers. We'll get into League in a few though.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get into the rigmarole, and then we got a few little topics to start with too this week. So, for those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you have questions, you can send them to us on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com, and we will certainly answer those on the show. All right, Montrell, we got 3 little topics before we get into the show proper. So let's start with the first one. This is probably, well, there's been a lot of shit going on Twitter the last few days, gaming related, but Hogwarts Legacy, you put this one in there. Can you separate the art from the artist? And obviously, in this context, we're talking about J.K. Rowling, and all
Hmm.
her BS with trans people. Whatever you think about that, I don't necessarily think that's important to the conversation here necessarily,
Yeah,
but
we're not talking about the
yeah,
actual
yeah,
argument, but the
right.
everything surrounding it, I
It
guess.
doesn't have to
The
be Hogwarts
atmosphere.
Legacy specific, right? Like,
Yeah.
can you separate the art from the artist? When, let's say, for instance, I'll bring up an example that hit me was Kevin Spacey with
Hmm.
House of Cards, right? When it came out,
Yeah.
all his shit with the molesting and fucking harassment that came out of, like, with him a few years ago. House of Cards, dude, is like one of that was shit. That show was like one of my favorite fucking shows.
Yeah, that
Um,
was one of my favorite political shows as well.
yeah, on Netflix, and it was one of the first shows Netflix made that was a fucking banger, dude.
Yeah.
And he was front and center of why that show was so good. And when that shit came out, obviously it was super disappointing. But I so this is I think this is the core, kind of the core of the argument, I guess, is there's like 2 ways you can go with this, right? There's the financial side, right? Is by watching or experiencing or purchasing in any financial way, helping support that person. There is that side of things, right? That you have to
Yeah.
consider, right? Is that by
Hmm.
watching that show on Netflix, it doesn't necessarily, I don't know if at this point, the way Netflix does things, if I watch House of Cards on Netflix, does Kevin Spacey get money for that? I don't think that's how it
I
necessarily
mean,
works.
some people do have like royalties in their
Okay.
contracts where they get shit like that.
And
So
he might.
yeah.
So there's that aspect to it for sure, and that's something you cannot separate. Like, that is a thing that is real. Like, we buy Hogwarts Legacy, we are giving money to J.K. Rowling, right? But then there's kind of the other aspect of it though, is to me is like there is like an objectivity to the performances, or like the performance in the case of Kevin Spacey in House of Cards. I'll stick with that example. Is taking him out of it, like him, the person, out of it, it's like an exceptional character, exceptional performance, right? And it's an exceptional
Hmm.
show as a result of all that. And do and everybody else involved, by the way, all the other actors, actresses, production staff, all that, they did a phenomenal job with that show. Do you really want to hurt all of them and just like kind of honestly
I just
taint?
realized Henry Cavill was in that show too.
Was he?
I think he was the security guard, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't.
Or maybe that was a different guy.
No,
He
he
kind of
wasn't. He definitely wasn't.
okay.
But anyways, so you end up tainting like the whole thing by association with that one person, and that to me sucks. Like, because there's a number of amazing performances in that show outside of Kevin Spacey, you know.
Hmm.
And so for me, I tend to I will be honest. I haven't watched House of Cards since I finished the final season, which Kevin Spacey wasn't associated with, of course. But I have not watched the rest of the show since then. I've never gone back and watched it. And part of the reason for that is the shit with him that came out. However, will I sit here and say I will never watch that show again in my life? I don't think I could really say that, because it is a great show. Whatever happened with him outside of his life, the show is excellent. And yes, there is a monetary aspect where you are supporting a man who did something shitty, but at the same time, he's already a millionaire, and me not watching House of Cards isn't really going to stop him from making money, you know? So, um, I don't take too much. So that's kind of where I stand on it, honestly, generally speaking, is I don't, I tend to not care that much because a lot of these people, if I personally boycott it, it's not gonna matter that much. And this is the same for like Hogwarts Legacy, right? If let's say I did have a principled stance against J.K. Rowling, it doesn't matter. Like she is fucking billionaire. Like she's gonna make a fuck ton of money off this game. She makes a ton of money off the movies. The books are still are hugely popular. Like, I mean, you know, one person doing something like that is just not. It's not gonna make that. It's not gonna make an impact at all to somebody like her. So
Yeah. I don't know. If you're sticking with the House of Cards reference, I know that's like an example. I didn't really watch it because they got rid of the character, not
yeah,
him, but they got rid of the character of season 6, and then it was just his wife. And
and that was the
I
worst
didn't
season of the
watch it
show,
last.
by the way.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
objectively.
and she's
So
a good actress. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
I think the show was kind of written crazy because they didn't know how to handle the news that came out about
right,
around them.
right.
Um,
They clearly had a plan for him, and
mhm.
like his character in the show in the sixth season, and they had to change everything at the last minute and write him out. And then there was some amount of smearing that happened as well in the show. Like they kind of smeared the character a
Yeah,
lot. And I mean, the character did deserve to be smeared within the
yes, he was
context
a
of the
piece of shit in
show,
the yeah,
but at the same time, it does take you out. It did take you out of it a little bit because
yeah,
it felt a little too intentional. But
yeah,
so, but the thing is, the show was still like the actual plot and narrative and everything was the worst that had ever been in the show. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. It was just weird. That happened, and then like uh, so in particular with the the Hogwarts situation, I I guess like I can separate the art from the artist. Uh, Particularly for me, I don't really have any connections to this franchise.
Hmm.
Like I know a lot of people grew up reading the Harry Potter books. I'll
Yeah.
be honest with you. I only read like one Harry Potter book. I watched all the movies, but that was or maybe I said on Twitter I watched two of the movies, but I actually Deanna reminded me I actually watched almost all of them with her,
Hmm.
and that was in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So before 5 years ago, like within the last 5 years, I've never like glanced at Harry Potter like that. It
Yeah.
wasn't a franchise that really like captured me like that. Maybe because I didn't read the books because my grandma at the time was like super strict about it. So as I grew up, I just kind of skipped those books or whatever.
Hmm.
And then obviously we're here now. So like that's my history with the franchise. But ever since I seen the Magical Beast series and I found out that it was a Harry Potter spinoff, and then I watched the Harry Potter shit, I was like,
Hmm.
oh, this world is like fucking cool. I wish there was like a video game in it.
Yeah.
And it turns out there are video games, but they're absolute like not good
I
video
think some of
games.
the PS2 games aren't terrible. And then the Lego games are actually decent as well, from what I've heard.
Okay.
But we haven't gotten a AAA like
Yeah.
Harry Potter game though.
Yeah. Um so yeah, when we first heard about this like years ago, um, I was like super excited for it because I was ready for the game to come out, and I always wanted to play inside the world of Harry Potter. I thought that world was just so fucking cool to me. It's kind of like some people with Star Wars, and how I understand now how people like I don't really like the movies, but yo, the video games, I just love the world of Star Wars, and I want to play in it, and that's I totally understand that because I'm the same way with fucking Harry Potter. But anyway uh I just like many other people. The reason I'm laying this groundwork down is because I, like many other people, have been waiting for a game like this, like their whole childhood life, and or their whole childhood into their adult life. They've been waiting for a video game like this, and now it's finally coming.
Uh-huh.
But now you have her saying what she's saying about trans people. I don't necessarily remember. I know some things she's saying. She's pretty much saying trans women aren't women,
Hmm.
and the other side of the equation is trans women are women. I'm not going to get into that because that's not my show to call or whatever the fuck. It's
Mhm.
not me to call because I'm
Right.
neither a woman nor a trans woman. So it's
Right.
that's
Yeah.
y'all's battle, you know. But it's like, how do we separate? Now people are saying like, don't buy the game, like don't buy the game because you're feeding her. And I think she tweeted out
Yeah.
something
She
of
did.
the matter.
She said, something along the lines of, like, "Support for this game will prove me right," or something like that, like, with
Yeah, and
her.
I don't.
Yeah.
Did she delete the tweet? Because I can't find a tweet.
Okay,
But
maybe she did, I
she,
don't know.
yeah,
There's a lot of misinformation around what
yeah,
she said as well out there, so I don't know. Again, I've not dove into this, like, super deep.
I haven't either.
I
But
don't really want to, so it's yeah.
but that's actually the point I made, and that's why I didn't want us to do any research because there are thousands of people out here, millions actually, of people who are not on Twitter, who don't give a fuck about, who don't even know about this situation that's going on Twitter,
Yeah.
who don't even know about what J.K. Rowling said, and they're gonna buy this game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean that they hate trans people. And then there are people like me who are in the middle who are like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't think her word is invalidating what y'all are saying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There are plenty of like, if I want to put another context, like I can say there are plenty of black cowboy fans. But we also know Jerry Jones was like supporting
Yeah.
desegregation of schools, right? So it's like, but there are plenty of people who are still Cowboys fans, and they're going to forever be Cowboys fans because they grew up with being Cowboys fans. No
Mhm.
matter who the owner is, that's who they love that team, not for the owner, but for what the team probably represents to them, their family, their lives, or whatever the case may be. So it's like you can separate that art from those particular artists. And I feel like maybe we should be able to do the same with Harry Potter. I just I don't like the conversation around it because both sides are actually right about one situation.
Mhm.
One side is saying like, "Oh, you guys are acting like this game's going to be fucking trash because of what the creator said. You guys are literally blinders on, looking at the gameplay. I'm like, this is bad," and I'm like, this is actually pretty solid." And then the other side of the spectrum is like, "Oh my god, this game is the greatest game ever, and it's owning the libs." And it's like, it's not the greatest
Ugh,
game ever, and
yeah.
you're not owning the libs.
My
Like,
god. Yeah, that
like,
okay, so this is where this shit gets this is why I don't care about in this particular case about separating the art from the artist. I don't give a shit about the artist. I don't and the fact that this has been so politicized is no matter which direction I go, people are gonna assume things about me based on the direction I
exactly.
go, which I don't care either way. So like if I buy this game and play it, people are gonna be like, "Oh, you hate trans people, bro." It's like, no, dude. Like I saw a cool game that I wanted to play. Like it's like I like Harry Potter. Shut the fuck up. Like go away. It's like
Yeah,
this isn't
exactly.
political for me. And that's this is where this like whole thing becomes like it becomes untethered from reality at a certain point because um Twitter is trying really hard to politicize this game, and make it a political stance that people are taking. And I don't think anything about the actual product is political in any remote way. So this is not remotely appropriate to me. This game's not trying to take a stance on trans rights. It's not trying to take a stance on anything. Who knows what's even in the game, dude? Like there could be literally storylines supporting trans rights in the game for all we know. Like the dev
Yeah.
team might not fucking support some of the shit she says and like might put shit
Well,
in the
they already
game.
came out and said that.
Yeah,
They came out and said they, as far as like development of the game, she really didn't have any say so. They just kind of
yeah.
cross reference stuff with her. You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah,
that
she
makes any
probably
sense.
was like the yes, you can do this, yes, you can do this, no, you can't do this, but it's not like at a granular level. It's probably broad strokes kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is to my point about what I was saying about Kevin Spacey is the fixation on her specifically, Rowling, is taking out everybody else associated with this product that has no association with her, doesn't necessarily support her views, all that, and like you're almost villainizing all of these people by association, and I don't think that is a smart approach, or like the right approach to this kind of thing. because these are probably like these people are probably normal people, hardworking people. Like there's that dude, I forget that dude who got fucking run out of the studio last year or a couple of years ago. Because the fucking Twitter mob like got in a frenzy about this fucking game at the time. And yeah, it's like I just I that's where I'm like I we've gotten away from the idea of separating art from artists. This has become a crusade from a certain group of people against a person that is loosely associated with the product. And the product's going to go down for it, but not necessarily. I actually think the opposite is going to happen in this case. I think this game is going to sell like fucking crazy.
Yeah, it is. And it's like it's to an unfortunate detriment because like it's just stupid. Both sides are like soft. So
Yeah,
like when I say like
yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. Like both
No, you're
sides are
right, dude.
soft, and
You're
I'm
totally
not
right.
trying to be a centralist about it, but like
Yeah.
because I mean I'm a leftist, but it's like at the same time like termly only online leftists are like being really unjustifiable or really unrealistic about the game. And then terminally online right people are being unrealistic about the game. Because I
Mhm.
guarantee you, some people on the right never even loved fucking Harry Potter until she started saying that bullshit that she was saying.
They
And then
probably
like,
didn't even
oh
know
my
who it
God.
fucking was, dude.
Yeah,
Can
like
you imagine?
I'm
Can you imagine the most like redneck conservative liking Harry Potter? Like, come on, dude. Get the fuck like
yeah,
fucking come on.
it then like and then like it's on the left, people are like, oh man, this game is just totally ass. And you look at the game and it's like bar for bar, fucking Harry. Like Hogwarts, I watched the 45-minute gameplay of the video, and I was like, and it wasn't like a vertical slice. It was like actual gameplay that they sent out to somebody,
Mhm.
and allowed them to record it. And I was like, this game looks like this is what I want my Star Wars game to be like.
Yeah.
Like this is what,
Yeah.
a game that's like very true to what Harry Potter is. And I was actually amazed by the game. I'm like interested in everything in it.
Mhm.
Uh 'Cause, yeah, it's like you're walking around. So it's for them to be a Harry Potter fan and be like, "Ugh, this looks like total ass." And, you're lying to yourself. Both sides are like lying to themselves. And I'm actually to this point now where I am tired of like politics in video games,
Mhm.
or not even in video games, surrounding video games.
Yeah.
Because you know what?
Yeah.
Like the right is saying, "Oh, well, the left is being very like, soft towards Harry Potter, or being really, sensitive about Harry Potter." And it's like someone released a screenshot today of Dead Space, right? And the bathrooms
Oh
in
my
Dead Space
god.
have three people on it. It has
Yeah.
male, female, and then like a trans type character
Mhm.
in the middle. For the bathrooms, and they're like, "Oh, they're putting woke. It's just like that. I fucking hate Dead Space. Dead Space bad now." And I'm like, "Are you serious? Like, are you that soft to where,
Yeah.
like, okay, you may not agree with the trans thing, right? But you're gonna put down an entire great game because, oh my god, it's a trans
Dude,
bathroom
it has a
character. Not even
fucking PNG of three people on a bathroom sign. Like, what the
it's
fuck are
literally a
you talking about,
PNG.
dude? Like, what? Like, dude,
Probably like
no,
a 500 megabyte fucking PNG just triggered the fuck out of you, and you're
soft
done playing the game
soft
because of
is the
that.
perfect way to describe these people, dude. Like, they are so easy to set off. It's unbelievable how sensitive they are to certain imagery or words or phrases. Like, it's crazy,
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just so weird. And then like people try to like spin also, not even just like politicize, but like, well, I guess it's just like pitting two games against each other. But like, High Fire Rush came out, and I think it outsold or almost on par with Forspoken. And then people are like, "Oh, well, look at this game. It's barely." And I'm like, bro, just enjoy. If you enjoy both of the games, just enjoy
just
it. If
enjoy
you don't,
the best the game has. Like, you don't
yeah,
have to
like
put
don't
another
try to.
game down to enjoy that.
Yeah,
You know?
I don't know, but like just like the politicizing of like the Harry Potter, and then like, oh, because they recognize trans people on the PNG for bathrooms, it's like now the game's trash, and like both sides are literally saying the same shit. Like, oh, because this person said this about the game and she's a
Yeah.
creator, the game's fucking trash. And it's like,
Bro,
no, it's not.
future humans are gonna look at us. This generation of humanity as like absolute derangement. Like we were living in a dystopian information age.
Oh
Like
my god, yeah, it's we can't handle the information that we're getting.
No, we're
I,
not, dude. I think we've mentioned this many times on the show. I don't think the human race was ready for the internet, and I definitely don't think the human race was ready for something like Twitter or social media, dude. Like
yeah,
we are just not ready for it. We're not mature enough as a society to handle it appropriately. And I think these arguments that we see all the time that happen online are evidence of that, you know?
yeah, yeah, and it's not. And granted, like uh Kayama for instance, right? Hideki Kayama, or Kamiya,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. Um, like, granted, he never said like, "Oh, I hate black people" or something like that. But the dude got me blocked on Twitter for asking a fucking question. He's the most deplorable person I know, like on Twitter. He's
Yeah.
like unreasonable, is right. But like, I can't deny that his fucking games are good, or some of them
Right.
are. Like, a lot of them are good, and I still play them. I'm not. I'm like, ugh. I'm not gonna play fucking Vanquish because this dude blocked me on Twitter. It's like, no, bro. Like, I'm not gonna play Bayonetta because this dude blocked me on Twitter. It's like, nah,
Yeah.
I like the game, so I'm gonna play it. Like, and they try to do it with Bayonetta too, and it was just a lot happening. And then once I found out the story of Bayonetta, it was like the politicizing of that game was it was completely spun out of control, and I
Yeah.
was just like, this is insane. Like, are we serious though? Like, I don't know. It's just becoming a little bit too much for me. Like, I
I
escape
kind
video games.
Yeah.
I come to video games to escape reality. Like,
Mhm.
I don't. Sometimes I don't need that shit in my video games.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I don't know.
um I kind of hope that we are heading towards a future where that isn't as possible, like that these narratives taking hold isn't as possible, because dude, these sites where all these people are that start these conversations in this politicized way, they're hemorrhaging people like like crazy, man. I like legitimately don't feel like we're gonna have very many IGNs left in polygons and game spots. Like in 10 years, I could see a lot of those sites being shuttered. Um, so we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
um, so the next topic we had was another Twitter argument I was seeing today. Was people were talking about The Last of Us versus Halo. Is The Last of Us more iconic than Halo? And I'll go first on this one. So I think people are conflating relevance with like being iconic,
Took the
because
words out my mouth.
I don't think The Last of Us is iconic. Um, at least not yet. It's not. Because honestly, when I think of The Last of Us, there is not imagery in the series that like sticks out as something that is on the level of anything in Halo. Like Halo is iconic. Like that is almost undeniable for me. It is on the level of Mario. It is on the level of like the greatest mascots in the video game industry. That's where Master Chief is, in the pantheon. So, I think people are like kind of misrepresenting what these games are, because The Last of Us right now, while it is important to Sony and PlayStation, it's not that important, Like God of
Mhm.
War is more important than The Last of Us, in my opinion, to Sony and PlayStation. And that has played out in sales over the last 5 years, of those two franchises. So I just think it's a weird argument. I think people just want to dunk on Halo right now because 343 is a fucking dumpster fire, and Microsoft has fucked Halo up so hard that it's like, become a dumpster franchise. But I don't think that means that it somehow has lost its place relative to the old games. I mean, like the whole Bungie era for the most part was banger after banger after banger of a game, with Halo. So um yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I stand on it.
Uh, yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like Halo had it's I when you use the word iconic, I don't even consider sales. I just consider the impact on the industry, right?
Yeah, right,
Because
true, right.
because if they were to say like Halo is more iconic than Sonic, and it's like, is it? Like, it may have so like number wise, yes, it may have sold more than Sonic ever has in the franchise, but everybody knows who fucking Sonic is. Like
I,
if you
you
put
know,
Sonic on the on the
I-
fucking icon somewhere, people are like, "Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
Sonic." You know what I'm saying?
I would
Like,
I think I would lean Halo though in this argument in that comparison because of what it did for shooters, you know.
yeah,
It
but I'm just saying, like, I guess you could put that both on head and head with each other, right? You
yeah.
can be like, they're both iconic in their own way because,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
when I say iconic, like, I think people are like, if any kid or adult, like even my grandma knows who fucking Sonic is, and not because of me,
That's
but she
true.
just knows like
True.
that's
True.
Sonic.
That's
You
a fair
know, if
point.
I
Yeah.
put Master Chief in front of her, she's gonna be like, "Who is that?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like some other parents would do that too. Like the general
I guess
population,
there's levels to being iconic, right? There's the
yeah,
general. There's like because yeah, you're right. Mario and Sonic are like recognizable to probably anybody. You know,
yeah,
that's like a level of
100%,
iconic that most things can't achieve in any industry, let alone
exactly,
games. Then there's like the level below that, and that's probably this is probably where Halo and Master Chief are, where like any
yeah,
gamer knows Halo. You know, like if you showed the
exactly.
Master Chief, they would know that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I would even say like people who are like who walk by casual games, they would know who like Halo or they'll be like, oh, that's the Halo guy or whatever, right? Like they won't say like
Yeah,
Master Chief. They'll just be like, that's that one guy from is it called Halo or something like that? I just remember a fucking ring, and they're like, yeah, that's Master Chief or whatever. Um, and then I think like under that would be like Kratos, right? Like as far as like hardcore game or not hardcore gamers, but you are in it, but you're not hardcore in it. You know who Kratos is, you know who like Halo,
yeah,
you know who
yeah.
Master Chief is, and everything like that. I think The Last of Us is not there yet. I
No,
don't.
it doesn't have that recognition. I don't think.
To
Like, yeah.
to be honest with you, I think Laura Croft is way more iconic than both of these series. I think
Absolutely. Yeah.
people know who Laura Croft
Yeah,
is.
Laura
Like
Croft
my
has broken into the mainstream. So,
yeah, exactly. The movies were successful and everything. Like
shit, and that happened a
I
long time ago. That was like 20
and that
years ago, dude. Like
yeah, exactly.
so yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean that's why that's when you use that word like iconic, like it's you have to there is levels to it. And The Last of Us just is not there yet. Now if the series like in 10 years from now and this series is still going strong, people are like, man, like oh man, The Last of Us was like really great and everything like that. Like, okay, yeah, then we can have that argument. But I don't feel like even though The Last of Us has been out for 9 years, or actually more than that, right? It's been 10 years now since The Last of Us came out. So
Yeah,
it's
it'll be
been like
10
10
in
years since
June. Yeah.
yeah, so 9 to 10 years now since the game came out, and it is iconic as far as like gaming wise.
Core
I feel like it
gaming. I would
is
say core
core gaming.
gaming. Like, yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't feel like it's to the level that Halo is.
Now this
Like we're
show is
just
helping with that for sure.
oh yeah.
The HBO show. But
Yeah.
so the thing for me, there's nothing in The Last of Us right now that I think stands out as like an icon the way the Halo ring or Master Chief himself does. The only thing that I can think of that has the chance to be that is the clickers. Like I do think they are a unique enough idea and a well executed enough idea in both the show and the games to
Mhm.
be at that level at some point. But I don't think they're quite there yet, you know.
Yeah. I don't either. That's why it's just so weird to me that people are putting it on this pedestal. And I understand it's Twitter and it's like the internet and everything like that. But yeah, I just think I saw it and I kind of ignored it. I was just like, I gave
Yeah.
my 2 cents on it and I just ignored it. I was like, yeah, this is somebody really baiting hard for,
Yeah, definitely.
uh, yeah, I don't know because I know Xbox fans do this shit, but I don't know. This seems like over the last 10 years, Sony fanboys are been
They become
crazy. I
insufferable, yeah.
so I don't know, man. Yeah. I think to be honest with you, Uncharted is more popular than The Last of Us. That's just me personally. I think the movie kind of ruined that legacy for it, but
People like the movie though, so yeah, I just
really
think
I didn't see it.
there hasn't been a
I didn't s-
game for Uncharted in 8 years, so that's the issue with Uncharted is that it has lost relevance, you know?
Mhm.
But I would agree with you, you know, a few years ago, Uncharted and Nathan Drake, like, was PlayStation, you know?
Yeah.
So definitely. Yeah, I don't. I don't know. I don't think The Last of Us is there yet. But so I did want to talk to you though about the show, the
Mhm.
HBO show. Have you watched all 3 episodes so far?
No, I haven't. I'm probably gonna binge this one.
Okay.
I did see I did see the controversy around the third episode.
Oh my
Uh,
god. Ah, Jesus, dude. Talk about
is it's the same
politicizing
situation?
things.
Like,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, and people like it's so easy to tell when people didn't play the games because like in the game the dude did mention his partner,
Yeah.
but in this one they gave more context to his partner,
Yes.
and I guess there was an actual like sex scene as well.
Yes.
And like people were like, well,
I mean,
there goes the Last of Us. I
it
can't
wasn't
believe
it wasn't
they're woke in
explicit.
the. It wasn't. They made it seem like, bro, they were showing like bare backs.
No, I mean they had no shirts on and like their lower half was covered up by blankets. Like I mean it's
Oh,
not.
okay. So standard sex
Yeah,
scene shit in
yeah,
the
it was
movie.
nothing
Okay.
crazy, dude. You didn't see a dick. Like they weren't humping. There wasn't a humping scene going on. Nothing like that, dude. No, that's fucking crazy if people are exaggerating what happened there. But yeah, no, they clearly haven't played the game, especially the second game. If they're yeah, because
Oh
in the
my
game,
god.
bro, Bill is gay. Like he literally
Yeah,
had a partner named Frank. Frank was dead in the game, but
yeah,
they
and that's
had
what they said. They apparently they added more context in the
they
in the
did,
show.
yes. Yeah, and yeah, and then the second game, I mean, we find out in the first game too, Ellie's a lesbian, so like that's gonna be fun once that's revealed. Oh
Oh my
boy, here we
god.
go. Um,
Wait till they meet the trans character in fucking
fucking
The
trans
Last of Us 2.
character, and then the bi character that Ellie,
Oh my
gets
god.
with.
Yeah, it's
Like,
gonna,
it's
this,
it's gonna be a fucking shit show. But I think this series in general is just a lightning rod for controversy. It has been since the second game came out. So it kind of is what it is with that. I did want to talk about the show though itself. So you did watch the first episode, right?
yeah.
Okay, so I mean, how did you feel? Like, what did you think about it in terms of an adaptation?
Um, to be honest with you, so once again, I'm not the biggest Last of Us fan.
Yeah,
I like the video games a lot. I played them and everything. I actually forgot the first game, like how I forgot all the story. I remember the major beats,
yeah,
but I
gotcha.
actually haven't played it in almost 8 years. It's
Hmm.
been a while since I played the game. So but I do remember the opening scene, and I'm actually amazed at how they stretched that opening scene out, uh, and just made it work.
Yeah,
Like I haven't
yeah.
really seen that in the game or any kind of like media before. I think the only thing that really kind of gave more context to scenes was like Invincible from like the comics to like
Mm,
the
hmm,
actual show.
hmm.
The show added so much more stuff to it that made more sense than the comics. Um, but yeah, like this show, it adds a lot of more context to the scenes that we're seeing and everything like that. And
Yeah,
I actually appreciate it and liked it for that.
yeah,
One part I thought was really funny, and I don't know if you thought this was funny, it would be funny as well. They made his daughter black or half black.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and I didn't see any controversy about that. I
Which
thought
is,
I was
dude, I thought the same thing when all this shit came out about Bill and Frank. This week, I'm like, how did Sarah being black get by the goalie? Like I don't understand. That's clearly no, dude. That clearly shows that many of the people watching this did not
did
play the
not play
game.
the game.
There's
Exactly.
no other explanation because yeah, like I mean that it's not a material change. It has no real impact on the show. But that would have been something if these people had played the game that would have pissed off purists. So
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest with you, it made sense for me too. Why they could have done anything with his daughter because we never see the mother. Like the mother is never thought about,
never
never mentioned.
mentioned in the game ever, ever. I don't think she's ever mentioned once or referenced at all in any of either game.
Exactly.
So
And I thought they were gonna make some I want to call it what's Joel's friend name? It's not Tommy.
what, his
Maybe
brother, Tommy? Yeah.
his brother. Yeah,
Yeah.
is it Tommy? It's Tommy.
Yeah. It's
Okay, yeah.
Tommy.
I thought they were gonna say something about Tommy, like because he doesn't look like Tommy in the game. I'm like, I I don't know. The show was just really fucking good, even with the minor changes like that.
Yeah.
I don't even think what's his face looks like Joel at all, but he just acts just like the
Dude, he's
character.
Joel though, man. Holy shit. God,
Exactly.
they
He
he
acts just like
nailed
the
it. And Bella
and
Ramsey is Ellie too, man.
yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Like they
Um,
both nailed the characters.
yeah.
I don't know if it was in the game, but I remember on the show, and I remember playing the game, and I'm like, how is Joel this good with guns? How is he able to do all this shit? Like, I don't know if y'all ever just remember like playing the game for the first time. He's just
Yeah.
like a fucking killing machine.
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
mowing people down and everything like that. And it's like on the show, they show his bumper, and he was a part of Delta Force. So he
Yeah.
used to be in the military. So that's how he has all this experience.
Mhm.
I don't know if they show that in the game. I can't
They
remember that
don't. I
part.
don't think they do. But I think the thing in the game though is that there's significant references to him being a raider at points. Like he was with these raiding groups, like the bandit groups that you run
Oh,
into.
okay.
So he has a lot of combat experience from that time as well. Also, so but yeah, I think that makes sense for sure. But um, yeah, I think this show, honestly, I mean, it's got to be the best video game adaptation I've ever seen of things that I've
Yeah.
watched. I've not seen the Sonic movies, so don't come at me about those. But like I think it's just this is like this has got to be, especially I'm gonna be frank, well, no pun intended, especially after episode 3, this has got to be the blueprint for how you do a video game adaptation, because they are changing things for sure. The way the virus works, or the infection works in the show, is extremely different from the game. It is a hive mind esque being in the show. Not a being, but hive mind type thing, because they show at points, especially the second episode shows a lot about how they're how they're like the fungal kind of tendrils that are all over buildings and shit, is
Mhm.
that if those are active and somebody touches those, it will activate infected like miles away, like they're like connected, all through those tendrils and shit. So um that's a huge change, like a massive change. And also, it is not an airborne virus the way it is in the games. There's no
Mm.
spores. They don't do they don't do the masks or anything like that, the way they do in the game. So that's another big change as well. But think I don't have a problem with it so far. It hasn't materially hurt the show to me. I think it makes sense for what they're doing with the show. But the first episode and the third episode specifically, I think, because the second episode is actually really faithful to the material it's converting from the game. They do
Mhm.
cut some sections out. Obviously, I mean, there's a fucking ton of traversal in The Last of Us that's going to be extremely boring on screen, right? Nobody's talking. It's just you're fucking opening drawers,
Ladders.
looking for pill bottles and shit. It's like, so they're not, yeah, fucking like moving ladders and putting Ellie on a pallet and fucking moving her across water and shit. Like that stuff, it's all gonna get mostly cut out for the most part. I'm sure there will be funny references to that stuff at some point, but like the first episode expands on the pre-outbreak period, I think, in such an excellent way, because we actually get to know Sarah a little bit more. It's not as abrupt as it is in the game.
Yeah.
You get to learn a little bit about her relationship with Joel, who's her dad, obviously. And it kind of builds up, and you learn about her neighbors a little bit too. You get to meet, like, her neighbors, and you kind of get some build up of something about to be happening there,
Yeah.
as well. And I just think it's a really honestly, the scene that transitions from the outbreak to the 20 years later point is like a really emotional scene. Like I got a little bit emotional. I didn't actually cry, but I got close. It's like it was really well done, dude. And to but I want to call out the third episode, because I watched this a couple days ago, and this episode totally changes this section from the game. The Bill's town portion of the game. Um,
Mhm.
it's I don't want to like ruin it for you too much, but it changes it in a really good way. And this is where I think this has showing the merit of adapting a game to a television show in a way that nothing else ever has is that this show expands on characters that the game barely gave us a little bit on the surface of, we get to learn a lot about people that the game couldn't do because of the way with the way video games tell stories. It couldn't have told this story in the game, um they wouldn't have told this story in a game. It's too specific. It's not the kind of thing you would break up the flow of a game to tell, and
Mhm.
I think it really worked in a television setting, and it's like, to me so far, I think it's my favorite episode of the show. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I look forward to your thoughts on it when you see it, because it is really good. I think it tells a story too that's, to me, like, actually kind of unique to this kind of setting, the zombie apocalypse setting. Um
Yeah.
and it's not something that's like explored very much in these kind of worlds, so
Okay. Yeah. Well, you make it sound like I gotta watch it now. So
I honestly, I would tell you, hold off, man. I'm like almost like I'm pissed that I've watched all 3 episodes, because now I'm in the, waiting every week for an episode to come on. It sucks. So if you can hold off, I would say hold off. But yeah, it's been really well done. I think they've adapted the game great. They've made changes in the right spots, for sure. And I think they are not trampling over what the game is, though. And I love the fact too, in the first episode, that the actress for Marlene, the head of the Fireflies in Boston, is the voice actress from the game. It's the same woman. So
oh, really?
yeah, yeah, that is fucking awesome. I love that they did that. Because yeah, she brings it to me in the first episode, dude. Like, she is excellent. She is like fucking perfect as Marlene. She is that character,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think there's some little things like that you notice that are cool. Because yeah, one of the changes they made too is like with Robert, the guy that they're chasing down at the beginning of the game. That's like a whole
Yeah.
tutorial gameplay section. They cut all that out, like they cut all that out. He just dies. Like, it's like, whatever, dude. So but it made sense though. I think it worked. Like, you don't need to show all that. Like, it's like that kind of shit exists in a game for a reason, to like get you used to the gameplay and give you like challenges, a show
Yeah.
doesn't need that stuff. So I'm going to be interested to see how they handle all that going forward too, because the next section of the show, I think, is going to Philadelphia. And I'm going to be really intrigued to see how they handle that portion of the game, because the stuff before you meet Sam and Henry is pretty bare in terms of plot, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of it. So I'm gonna be interested to see how they handle that, if they cut all that out, or it seems like it's gonna be a pretty action intense episode. So maybe they have a lot of it and it's just like really action packed. So we'll see on that front. And then how they handle Sam and Henry is gonna be interesting, as well, certainly.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I gotta give it to him. I think this is proving that Neil Druckmann's pen is really good.
that
uh
is fair, yeah.
yeah, I think, I mean, I know his head sometimes up his own ass, but so far, if he can write a video game and write a TV show, I mean, he kind of deserves it. So, um, yeah, I have nothing to say. I mean, I gotta watch the show. I was very satisfied with the show or with the premiere of it,
Mhm.
um, and I honestly just forgot about it. And that's not to the detriment of the show. That's just me forgetting about it because it's been a while since I had a TV show that I can run back to weekly to watch.
Mhm.
Uh, so
Well,
I don't really normally do it. So
I want to call it the second episode too. There's a sequence in there that is ripped right out of the video game, and it's fucking awesome. Like, it is my favorite scene in the show so far. And it's your first real like encounter with the infected, like, in an enclosed space, and it's fucking like, it's so fucking good. I think they did like a phenomenal job with it. So So yeah, I think they're doing a great job right now. I think it's the fact this marriage of this game, this particular series with HBO is the perfect marriage. I don't
Yeah,
think any other network could have done this way and hit the nail this far in the head. Um,
yeah.
so I'm gonna
Kind of
be
disappointing
interested.
to me as
Yeah.
a fucking Halo fan that the Halo TV show was
Oh
just fucking ass.
man.
And they have
No.
the same, like, to me, quality of writing material to work off
Hmm.
of, and
Yeah.
they did what they did.
They
So
just fucked it up. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think the interesting thing for me, because this show did get renewed for season 2 already, um,
Hmm.
is what are they gonna do with season 2? Are they gonna adapt the second game right away, or are they gonna? Because I feel like that would be a mistake actually adapting the second game right away. Because then if you renew it for season 3, where do you go from there? You're just kind of making up new material at that point, you know?
So usually with like new series like this, Game of Thrones did this actually. It was a new series, and I think it only had like 6 episodes the first season, 6 to 8 episodes.
The first season of Game of Thrones? No, it was
Yeah,
10.
it was 10. Okay.
Yeah, it was 10.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though if this was like a 6 episode series, and they're testing the waters with it, and then like it's covering the first half of the game, and then we get to the last
No,
half of the
it's
game.
9 episodes, and I think
Okay.
Neil's already confirmed it covers the whole game, the whole first
Oh, it
game.
covers the whole game. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind then.
So that's why I'm curious about it, because there's like a 5-year gap between the first and second games. And
Oh yeah, they can do a second
there's
season between that 5 year
that's what
gap.
exactly. There's a lot in there they could probably play around with and do to flesh out things that the game didn't cover. And I think that would be the smarter method to go down, rather than doing the second game immediately and then having nothing beyond that, you know?
Well, you
Um,
remember the second game has a lot of flashback scenes.
yes, right. Flesh those
So they,
out. Yeah,
yeah,
right. You could show us all that stuff on screen in a more slow way, in a
yep.
more deliberate way. And we kind of get to know some of the characters in the second game a little bit more than the game lets us get to know them.
Hmm.
I think which would be really cool as well. So I don't know. There's a lot of potential, I think, for the show ultimately. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think going straight to the second game would be a mistake. Because I think they're going to end up having the same exact controversy that the game had if they do
Not
that.
not
You know?
not if they pace it. Yeah, if they pace it, they have to pace it way differently.
Yeah.
I think hopefully they learned their mistakes with that.
Well, that's why I'm
Like
saying you slow it down, because you can
yeah.
show the events, all the flashbacks that we're talking about. You can show those
Hmm.
events more live, you know.
Yeah.
Show us these characters more in the moment, and then in the direct aftermath of some of the events of the first game. And then we get to know them and we understand their side of the story more, rather than kind of bludgeoning us over the head with it the way the game does, which has a great impact. But I think for a television show, I don't feel like it's the right approach.
No,
But
it's definitely not the right approach.
yeah, I think they'll alienate the audience if they do it that way. So we shall see. It's going to be very interesting. I'm excited. I'm glad this is having success, and that it's as good as it is. I think the actors for Bill and Frank in the show also are fucking amazing. Like great performances, dude. Nick Offerman fucking killed it. So yeah, it was great. Great stuff. All right. Montreal, we've been going for 53
Yeah.
minutes. Let's get into the show proper here. And talk about what we've been playing. So, you want to go first this week?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna skim through a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
just because we are kind of pressed for time. Or not
Yeah.
pressed for time, but we spent the hour talking about other stuff. So,
Hmm.
um, I haven't played Ion Classic
I think it's
yet,
over.
or
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that it's over. I haven't logged in 2 days. You haven't played. Brad's dead. Brad's done. He probably already uninstalled it. Um, Jet didn't play it all this weekend, and
Okay,
I've lost my will.
you lost your.
I think I'm gonna just go play Final Fantasy. Like,
All right, I'm probably gonna jump into that then. I still have my subscription for that, and I'll probably cancel my subscription for Ion Classic.
yeah, I need to go do that.
But
But yeah, yeah, I know,
uh,
I know. No, seriously, I don't want to play this game without you guys. Like, that's literally it. Like, if you guys aren't playing, I have no reason to log in, and that's where it's been. And nobody's
mhm.
playing, so I'm not logging in. So
Okay.
I'm just like, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I think League of Legends kind of took that over,
It's
unfortunately.
just killed it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So I've been playing Hi-Fi Rush. Nothing really to say about the game. I'm loving it. It's an action game. Based off rhythm. I said recommend check it out. It's only $30 on Steam and Xbox. Unfortunately, it's
Mhm.
not available on PlayStation at all. It's an Xbox exclusive
Yep.
PC. Yeah, not too much to say about that as well. It's just a welcome surprise. Uh, it reminds me of a Saturday morning cartoon, like an
Mhm,
American Saturday morning cartoon, like from
mhm.
I don't know if you used to watch like the old Spider-Man stuff, but like that's what it reminds me of. It's just a silly, goofy,
Yeah,
uh, um,
yeah.
because actually the main character is the voice of Spider-Man from Spider-Man. I think it's
The game?
spectacular. Yeah, either the game or Spectacular Spider-Man from
Oh, okay,
from the cartoons.
okay.
Um, so yeah, I think that's really cool. He does a really good job, and the supporting cast does a really good job. The game's just really fucking funny. It's a really funny game. It's intentional. The dialogue is corny, but it's like intentionally corny to be
In
funny.
the
It's kind of
context, it
different.
works. Yeah.
Yeah, in context, yeah, it works really well. So I like it. Uh, I've been playing Dead Space as well. Uh, I think that I there's really nothing to say about the game. It's a faithful remake of the game. Uh, it just added a little bit more physics and graphics to it.
Mhm.
But I think it's bar for bar like a really good faithful remake, almost like to the kin of like
Resident
I can't
Evil?
even say to Resident Evil, yeah, because Resident Evil that was like a remake.
Yeah,
This is almost like a
yeah,
glorified
true.
remaster, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
like almost maybe more like Xenoblade Chronicles 1?
yeah, I would say like a definitive edition.
Yeah.
Almost, it's like that in The Last of Us, the
Okay.
part one,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
makes sense. So
Yeah,
it's
I think
more
they do change some
graphically
things.
focused, but, you know.
Yeah, I think they do change some things. But like I said, I've been so far removed from the game when I played it from first time, I can't remember the beats bit for bit.
Yeah.
Um, but from what I remember, like the game is really good. It's paced really well. They probably removed some things. I'm not too sure, but uh, I do like that they added a lot of people were complaining about it, but I actually like that they added like you can actually censor the game or like take certain stuff off of the game. Like a lot of deaths can be really fucking gruesome. uh, so you can like take that shit off. They'll
Okay.
censor it for you,
Yeah.
or they'll like they'll give you a trigger warning, like, hey, this is about to come up, like somebody about to get decapitated or some
Oh,
shit like
no,
that.
so you can have, like, a jump scare warning? Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta play this
So
game,
like
man.
they'll tell you stuff like that. But to me, the game, I don't know, maybe I'm like kind of immune to it, but like it's not scary. It's just a fun game to me. Like I'm enjoying playing the game, even the jump scares and stuff like that that's supposed to get me. I haven't played the game in like 10 or 12 years, so I don't remember the jump scares at all. But it's like it's not as scary as I thought it was, and I'm like, this game's not that scary. Like, oh, this is a fun game. But I think for some people who never played the game, I can definitely see this game being stressful because the necromorphs come out of like everywhere.
Yeah, man.
I'm
Yeah.
used to it, but like a lot of people they aren't used to it,
No,
and
that's
I
why
get
I've never played it as much as I know it's a great game. Everybody says it's great. I just dude, I'm such a bitch with these games. Like, I don't know. I don't know. But man, I know I'm doing myself a disservice by not playing Dead Space though. So,
I think you should play it.
yeah.
I think you should play it. If there's nothing going on by the end of the year, probably by the end of the month, I'll probably give it to you as a gift or something like that. I don't know, but I think you should play it
I
because
mean,
it's a
I'm
really
gonna put it on the wish list. That I gotta. I really do. I do need to play this one. I think. Like,
yeah. I don't think it's bad. Uh, I think if you want to immerse yourself more, play it with headphones on and
that's what
like
I'm gonna do. Even though
yeah,
it's gonna be worse, I'm
yeah.
probably going to do that. Yeah.
Because the sound quality is really good in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like I'm not really a big fan of the horror genre, but I do particularly like part of horror, and that's the space horror genre or the sci-fi
Yes,
horror. I
I'm the
love
same
sci-fi
way. Yeah.
horror.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I don't really like horror that much either, but dude, this concept, Dead Space's concept is fucking amazing,
Yeah.
like to me. So,
Yeah, so I love sci-fi horror. I love the Alien series. I love the Alien Isolation game, and everything like that. So anything like sci-fi horror, I just fucking love it. So I think this game's really good for people who aren't into horror games. Um, and it does a really good job with dismemberment. Like it's just not, oh, shoot a zombie in the head and they die. It's like you gotta dismember the monsters that you're fighting to actually kill them. You can't
Mhm.
just like, you know,
You got to
it's
be
not a one.
thoughtful with how you fight. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's really cool. And yeah, that's all I had to say about that. I have been playing Fire Emblem Engage. I've been taking my time with this game. I am playing it in hard mode. I usually play Fire Emblem games on normal, so this
Mhm.
is a switch for me. Because I just want to be more involved. Ever since I played Xenoblade Chronicles, you should never game that fucking game. Ever since I played Xenoblade Chronicles, I just want more from my RPGs. So I play them on hard mode now, so I can like actually utilize the
Yeah,
fucking
bro.
uh
You want the systems to have meaning, right? Like
yeah.
that's the crux of it ultimately is I've played countless RPGs in my life, and most of the time playing on normal, by the end of the game, the RPG mechanics, the actual game systems are meaningless because your character is so fucking
Exactly.
powerful
Yeah.
that it makes everything irrelevant in the game. And playing on hard, just generally, this isn't always true, but generally in these games, ratchets the difficulty up to the point that you really do need to consider everything you're doing with your characters or your army or whatever it is, whatever the type of game is, your equipment.
Yeah. And I agree. And yeah, I like the Fire Emblem Engage a lot actually. I just like how easy it is to play, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's just really a pick up and go game. Like they really made it like like I said last week, like the old Fire Emblem games. Like it's a really portable Fire Emblem. I can
Hmm.
come into it, play it for about 30 minutes to an hour, get what I need out of it, and then put it up somewhere. Or I can play it while I'm watching TV or something like that. So yeah, I just really like that aspect of Fire Emblem Engage. And I mean, you can talk about it too since it's
Well,
right
what
there.
chapter are you on?
I am still on chapter 11, I think. Yeah, I'm on chapter 11.
Oh, you got to chapter 11. Okay, so you did
Yeah.
chapter 10.
Wait, am I on chapter? I think I'm on. Actually, you know what? I lied. I'm on chapter 9. Chapter
Okay.
9. That's where I'm at. I
Yeah.
did a couple of side missions, so that's why
Gotcha.
I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because no chap. So yeah, Fire Emblem Engage. This game. Oh, this game, dude. This game is really good. I'm really digging this fucking game, man. Like now that I've like put Ion down and I'm like I'm starting to focus on it a little bit more. I'm fucking into it, dude. Like I think they've really, from a gameplay standpoint, they have hit that equilibrium that I am looking for. You know, it is a
Mhm.
game, it's a Fire Emblem game that you can grind, but it's not like gratuitous. You know, it doesn't feel
Yeah.
like you're breaking the game by grinding a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas Awakening had the opposite problem, where grinding in that game was the game, and like it just blew the whole game apart. Like I felt like I just didn't feel like the game was very well balanced. Whereas this game so far has been fucking phenomenal in its balance, in my opinion. The battles are challenging for the most part. They're and honestly, I want to call out Chapter 10 because it is, to me, the of what I can think of in the last 15 years of Fire Emblem, it is probably the best map I think I've experienced in a Fire Emblem game in the last like
Wow.
15 years since Radiant Dawn. Like, no, it is, dude. It's everything I want out of a challenging Fire Emblem like map, you know. And it's got that big story hook, you know, at that point in the game, that's really pulling you in and immersing you within the battle, and the struggle of that battle. But it's also a really challenging map where they throw a lot of really powerful enemies at you, and put you in a compromising position early in the map that you have to get out of. But then that does not relent later in the map. Like it's still, there's still some very tricky things you have to get around. And while this game is easier than most Fire Emblems because you have a rewind mechanic in it, this is the one map in the game where I actually feel like it pushes you to the brink, even with that mechanic, because there are some really tricky enemies that will kill a large majority of your party if you're not careful with them. So, um, yeah, it's I don't know. I just really love that map. Everything like came together on that map for me. The music, the design of the map, the enemies, all of it was just fucking awesome, you know. Um
Yeah.
and I will say after chapter 10 the music fucking picks up. By the way, the music before chapter 10 has mostly sucked, like in my opinion. I was really disappointed in the soundtrack, and now suddenly every fucking song, every new song, I'm like, God damn, this is a banger, dude. Like it's like banger after banger. Because yeah, in chapter 12, there's another new song that comes in, and I fucking love that one too. It's like my new fucking grind map song, you know. Because you can set what song you want in random battles, you know, the
Okay.
skirmishes. You can set it in the
Yeah.
menu to whatever you want, which is really cool. So I just think this game, like Montreal said, it's just a really like it's a really digestible game. You can play it in small chunks. I can play it in 30 minutes. I can get through a skirmish battle in 20 to 30 minutes, you know. And that feels like you're accomplishing a lot. You get a lot of levels for all your characters, you know, and you get money and
Hmm.
you get equipment and drops and stuff, and it's great. It's like it just feels really good. I haven't explored the class system that much yet, but I am on my way to getting there because most of my characters, I've gotten most of them into the high teens at this point in terms of levels. So I'm gonna have to come up against that very soon. And I think the emblem ring system is really fucking cool, man. Like I like this mechanic a lot in this game. I thought I wouldn't, honestly. But I find that it's a really cool progression system. And
You
I
know, yeah, it's really cool. It doesn't. I actually find myself using it not as a nuclear option, but as a necessity for certain battles. Like I have to strategically use it, and I just don't pop it anytime.
yeah.
I don't know if for people who play on normal mode, maybe easier for y'all, but for me, at least on hard mode, like I just don't use it whenever. I use it when I'm like, all right. And I don't use it when I'm in a bind. I use it when like, okay, this is a perfect time to use it because I can knock out like 3 enemies at one time with
Yeah,
this
like
one
you
move or
you
whatever
you
it may
almost
be.
use it as a thinning tactic because a lot of the engaged abilities are like kind of almost one shotty
Yeah,
most of the time, and it's a good way to thin the enemy line, you know.
yeah.
Um, but the thing is, you're going to start running into a lot more enemies though that have engaged skills themselves. They'll have one of these rings on, and dude, they are scary as fuck. Like, I'm not gonna lie. They have the same potential to one shot your units as you do to them. So it's yeah, it's an interesting mechanic. I think my only issue with it is the availability of these things is not static in the game, and it's I- the fact that progression is tied to them, especially this is my main problem is the weapon proficiencies are tied to specific emblem rings. So you like if you want to make somebody a mage but they don't have the proficiency to use tomes, you need the specific ring and you need to equip it to them, and like you might not always have that ring at all times throughout the game. So at a certain point in the game, you're like you have a character that you want to change into a mage, but you can't because you don't have the they don't have the ability to get the proficiency right now at that moment, you know?
Well,
So
I guess that was gonna be my question. Like in other games, there used to be units like I don't know, say like the armored cavalry or whatever. Um, they
yep.
used to be able to use spears, swords, and
Yeah.
axes
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But like Vander, right? He can only use at least I'm only in chapter 9 right now, so he can only use axes right now, and
Yeah.
then he can use the emblem ring that I put on him to get lances. But it's like, is there like a class change, or can I
Yes.
add it?
So that's what I'm talking about. So in order to change classes, you need to be proficient in the weapons of that class before you change into it. But the only way to get proficient in the weapon is to level up your relationship with the emblem ring that has that weapon proficiency tied to it.
Okay.
So for instance, I'll say like daggers. You know, might not get the dagger emblem ring. I don't even know if we've gotten one yet that lets you be proficient in daggers. And you want to change somebody that isn't Yunaka into a thief, you can't do it because you can't get proficient in daggers. You know, so like you literally can't change the person's class into a thief because of that reason. So that's the one thing I'm not digging right now because the way it's worked in other games, it's the opposite. You change into the class once you unlock the criteria, and that gives you the proficiency, which is then at like E rank, and you have to use the weapon to level it up. That's not how it works in this game. The classes have static
Mm,
proficiency levels. So like a base version of like a sword fighter has like a B rank in swords. They can only use swords up to B rank, you know. But a sword master has S rank in swords. You cannot level the B rank to S rank. Like it's just a static thing for the class. So that is kind of a significant change. To me, it's not tied to the
So
unit
I
anymore. So yeah,
so
go
I would
ahead.
have to use the emblem rings. Like Martha's a sword person, and I know
Yes.
he has sword proficiency.
Yep.
So my thing is, so that's the part I wasn't understanding. Do I have to always have the ring equipped to get
No,
that
no, 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 no.
proficiency?
So
Okay.
you equip the ring, and then you'll. I think it's like level 4 bond. When you hit level
Yeah.
4 bond, you get proficiency in swords with Marth. Once you get that, that's permanent. The character has that proficiency forever, basically.
Okay. And are they able to use swords, or I gotta wait to the class
No, you
switch
have to
for
change
the?
them to a class that can use swords, but you need the
Gotcha. Okay.
proficiency with Marth before you can change their class to one that uses swords.
Okay. Now that makes perfect sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's starting to come together for me.
So
All right.
that's kind of the one thing so far that I'm not loving. Um, because yeah, it's just um it's gonna be something I'm sure later in the game that's not a problem because you're probably gonna have all the emblem rings and it's not an issue. But in this mid game it is a problem right now. That I don't particularly love. So that's kind of my one criticism I think so far. But otherwise, I think this game is really good. I think a lot of the units, I think they did a good job of making most of the units viable. There's really only one or two so far that like totally suck dick, and I'm not even bothering with anymore. Otherwise, most of them have their niche. They're good at something, you know. Um, so, so yeah, it's a fun time. Um, anything else you want to say about Fire Emblem?
No, that's it.
Okay,
And then we've been playing League of Legends. I
yeah.
mean, we can both talk about that.
Oofa.
I don't want to stay too long on this
Yeah.
because we already an hour in. But yo, right, if y'all ever listen to this shit, get y'all a balancing team together. And I know y'all probably getting that shit a lot, but no, like this game, I love this game, but the balancing, particularly when it comes to the jungle, needs to be done. Like I know they just did a patch. I read the patch notes. So this is what happened to y'all. I'll just explain it real quick. Jungle had a really big change where they added pets. The pets give you treats every time you gank in lane if you get a takedown or assist takedown. That those treats can convert to gold over time. The problem is uh they also or is it disincentivize? That's a
Yeah.
word? Is that a
Yeah.
word? That's a word. Okay. Disincentivize you from counter jungling. So now both junglers just repeat gank everywhere because you don't lose XP for counter jungling and taking their camps because their camps come up so fast. Um, and your camps come up so fast as well. So there's no incentive to for me. So like what it used to be, uh, in like season 11 and back, it used to be all right, or season 12 actually, half of season 12 and back. It used to be all right. If their jungler ganks on the bottom, whether it's a successful gank or a bad gank, I can punish him up top because I know he's at the bottom lane. He can't come to his top jungle. His camps are probably coming up. I can go punish that, take
Mhm.
some camps up there, and then do what I need to do. And that would set him back a little bit. So if he did get a gank off, we're going to be same level wise because I got the XP from the camps, at least relatively speaking. Uh, that's how it's supposed to work. Or either I gank up top or something like that, or I take an objective or whatever the case may be. But now with the new mechanic, the mechanic's always been there, but it's really harsh now, or really extenuous this time, if that's a word. Uh, it's really crazy this time because the catch up XP is there. So if my jungler's like a level behind me or whatever, catch up XP is going to get him almost to the same level as me, to where I'm always like one level behind him. Whereas before, if I was farming and ganking and doing everything I need to do as a jungler, I could outclass my jungler by like 3 or 4 levels, and it would be crazy. It's nothing he can really do to do anything like that. But there's not that mechanic in the game anymore, or that mechanic is has gotten rid of that kind of gameplay because they wanted jungling to be more accessible to people or whatever. Because I will admit, it's a very harsh role. You're getting bombarded by everybody, especially in solo play. Like the jungler is the fucking like fucking punching bag of the team. Like if you miss one objective, GG, my jungler's back, jungle gap. or a jungle diff or whatever the fuck, and it's like, or if you're doing really well, no one says anything because it's like you're a mechanic that's supposed to be working, like you're just a cog in a machine that's supposed to be working.
Yeah.
So it does really suck the jungle. Um, and maybe I just need to get better because I'm just so used to the old style of jungling. I have to kind of rework how I think and play because my
Yeah.
my champions are actually meta. Like Kindred's like a S tier champion right now, but it's like the way I've been playing her is like not the way a lot of people, not the way you should be playing her right now. So it's like I got to relearn the jungle again, and that's okay. Um, and but it's just even if I do play that and I'm constantly ganking and everything like that, I just don't think it's healthy for the game. Um, at all. Because I've
Mhm.
been in lane now. Now that I'm a support, me and Justin, he's the ADC who's the carrier of the game, and or supposed to be the carrier of the game. We'll get into that. He's uh
Yeah.
we are constantly getting fucking 4-man, 5-man dive. Like sometimes the whole team comes down there and like there's no there's no repercussions
There's
behind
nothing to
it. We're
do.
just
There's no dude, well, there's also nothing we can do, like, once you get
yeah.
the 4th person in there, I mean, like, dude, they can tower dive easily. The tower's not gonna kill fucking 4 people, It might
Yeah.
not
And
even
that,
kill
and that
1 in the time frame that takes them to kill us, So
exactly. And that's another thing. The towers, they actually buff towers this
I
patch
saw
too.
that. They they buffed the damage.
We were just talking about that. It's like, were
Yeah.
they listening to our fucking Discord?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like towers at before this patch, non-threatening. I can dive tower. I have literally seen people take 6 tower shots at like level 5 and just I'm walking out the tower
And they're
range is like
fighting you too, by the way, like, yeah. It's like, what the fuck, man?
yeah, so tower's supposed to be menacing. It's supposed to be like a risk reward thing when you dive a tower. Um so yeah, I mean I don't know. And I think the power scaling is out of whack. I mean, certain characters like top lane, people say top lane is weak. It's insane how many people are saying top lane is weak. But I think top lane is the carry lane. It's the solo
Yeah.
lane because I
Yeah.
mean it's a solo carry lane.
That lane's having the biggest impact in our matches for sure. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, as ADC, I actually was doing some reading yesterday, honestly, to figure out, is it something I'm doing? Am I playing wrong? And I think I found the answer is that it's no, it's not necessarily that I'm playing wrong. I mean, in certain games
Hmm.
I might have the wrong item compositions, and I am trying to get a little bit more cognizant of that.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that I'm seeing is that there's a certain meta with ADC right now, and that meta is apparently fucking Draven, Samira, and Tristana. Like that, those are the
Okay.
meta characters right now in the ADC role. And
That's
I'm
interesting.
noticing
Okay.
that because when I play Trist, those have been my best games. And she feels really fucking strong right now. And I feel like, I think the other issue is that we play the draft mode of this. So when I get first pick, I don't feel like I can pick Varus or Jin because I'm gonna get
Yeah.
counterpicked, like hard counterpicked. And it's happened multiple times, and I think that's the problem I'm feeling is it's I don't think ADCs are weak necessarily. It's that there have been certain games where I get counterpicked and I'm playing a character that's weak against another character, and that's why I
Hmm.
feel weaker. So I think it's that element to it, and I think that's the part I'm finding a little frustrating with League is I don't want to play Trist every game. Just
Yeah.
because she's generally strong. I don't find her that fun to play relative. I actually find Varys and Jin way more fun to play than her.
Yeah.
She's just a fucking brain dead auto attacker for the most part. Like it's not an interesting character. But unfortunately, that's kind of the meta right now. Like she's super good in that regard. Now Samira is also meta, is kind of as strong as her in a lot of the rankings I was looking at. But she is much more interesting. But she also has some hard counters, whereas Trist I don't think does as much. Trist is kind of
Hmm.
honestly almost immune to matchups a lot of the time. There's very few characters I think that like totally lock her out.
Yeah.
Because of just the nature of her kit. So I think as a result, like she's just a strong pick generally. So I almost feel like depending on the picking order, I'm probably gonna have to pick her more if I want us to have success in the late game. Um, But that's kind of the disappointing thing for me. Like Jin and Varys are good right now, but they are more situationally good. It's like
Yeah.
you don't want to pick them every game, kind of characters. And Zaya is kind of in that same tier as well. From what I learned, I just tried her and she is fun. But so I think it's just I need to kind of have a big repertoire of characters that I can play,
Mhm.
and I kind of need to be able to counterpick a little bit with the role.
That's just my thing, man. It's just like I can pick Zach and have success with Zach. I can pick
You
Sojourner
just don't
and
want to
pick.
play them.
I just
Yeah,
they're boring as fuck to play.
yeah, right.
Uh,
Agreed.
yeah, it's just I don't know. I can play Ramus and just
But
fucking
isn't
spin the win, bro. Like
so
roll up, roll down.
it's a little
You know,
frustrating, but isn't that the nature of League at this point?
yeah,
And Dota's the
yeah.
same. Dota's the same. It's not. I think the thing with Dota, I think this is why I get a little frustrated with League, like coming from Dota, because I don't remember having these significant problems at any given point in time in Dota with certain characters that I was that I was kind of a main of,
Mhm.
I always felt like Crystal Maiden or Timbersaw, regardless of the meta, I could probably play those characters and be effective with them regardless of the game. And
Yes.
that maybe it was just those characters in particular that they just happened to be like that. They were always fairly solid within whatever meta I was in. And that could be true.
Well,
Those
I
two characters are a little bit immune to certain things, but
well,
um
I will say the same thing. I think I don't know about Dota, but like for my characters, right? I had three go-to characters or two go-to characters. I had Warwick and I had Kindred. Warwick can be a bruiser tank character, and then Kindred was always like a squishy annihilator or a tank shredder. Um, so I
yeah,
had those two,
yeah,
and those are both like early game invade type champions where I can fight, I can skirmish, or I can sit back, or I can just like focus on ganking, or whatever the case may be. So
yeah.
they're very good in almost every situation. But it's like this meta has forced me to. I don't know if the state of games or whatever, but they forced me to like, no, you have to play this way. And it's pretty weird because you don't usually see that in pubs.
I
Like we're
know.
playing
We're
pubs,
playing norms, yeah.
yeah, and you usually don't see that type of play. Usually people would just pick stupid shit, and they'll play or whatever. But like we're running into like people who are like sweating hard, like, oh, I'm about to pick the meta champion, like fucking go against you. And I don't remember the for me, honestly, League of Legends has never been like this as far as norms go. Like norms have never been this fucking sweaty. This is the first time norms has been this sweaty to me. And usually I play norms. I'm always, if I win or lose, I'm having a good time. This is the first time I'm like, dog, what the fuck is going on? I'm being upset.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, dude, there was that Jinx Smurf that we played against, and I just wanted to I wanted to quit the game right there. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, bro? You're smurfing in norms, clearly, and we got
well, the
dominated by that
fucking
guy. It's like,
the fucking Zare fucking
oh yeah, the
scripting person.
scripter. Yeah, why are you scripting in norms, dude? Like, why? I don't know. Like, why are you scripting at all? But I don't know. It's yeah. So I think that it's like there's kind of a learning journey I'm having with League where I could play three or four characters all the time and just pick whichever one makes sense for the game, but um you know I think ultimately it's how much is winning tied to fun, I guess, is really the question. That's really the question that is got to be answered for me. Like, do I care about winning so much that I'm willing to sacrifice my enjoyment of the character I'm playing in order to win games? Um, and I don't know if the answer to that is yes. I want to sacrifice that.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand if we were playing rank flex. I can understand that. Because rank flex that only matches you up against other parties of five, and I think I think in norms as well. When we have a five stack, it's only matching us up against five stacks, and I think those five stacks are using the norms as skirmishes before they jump into ranked or whatever. So that's why I personally think was what's going on right now, and that's
I
why
don't
we're
think that's
getting to
hundred
where we're
percent
getting.
true. There have been some matches where you can tell the other team don't play with each other.
Yeah,
They're just they're like talking shit to each other in the chat and stuff. Like, I don't feel like
yeah.
a pre-made five would be doing that. But
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know. It's just weird though. The way the game's been playing because I've been playing like we've been playing against people who are nothing but we haven't played against anyone who's over silver one. To be honest with you,
yeah,
so I'm playing against these like bronze and iron people, and I'm like, bro, I'm way better than you. I know I'm better than you. I'm watching you play against my laner, and I know I'm better than you. Or I'm watching the enemy jungler play, and it's literally just like the way the style of the game has changed, I guess, as far as like how the jungle works and everything. And I have to just get good. Um, Now, do I think that can I still criticize that though? Like, can I still say I think the way the jungle is being is because I don't think it rewards skill. I just think it's almost a brain dead role now. Like you just gank bottom
yeah.
and then you win a game.
I think other
Like
people would have a different argument though. They would say that the brain dead farming in jungle is like no skill, and which I don't necessarily agree with because there's a lot of timings you need to know and stuff.
yeah, I
But
mean, I don't want that meta either. I just want there was one particular time where it was like balanced, where it's like if you track your laners
mhm,
you can. I'm not your laners, but you had to track your jungler. You had to track where they were going, track what you were doing, even if you're a
mhm.
farming or a ganking type champion, or just like a scaling jungle champion or whatever.
Yeah,
And I feel like that game that back and forth is gone. Like that is just gone. Now it's just pick a ganking jungler, take two camps, you go gank. Take another two camps because the catch up XP is going to get you back where you need to go, bro. It was like a risk. If I wanted to gank, I had to risk my camps for this gank.
yeah.
And now that has been taken away. Whether it's a ganking meta or a farming meta, like even in the ganking meta before this, it was a risk. Like I can still get you way behind if you're just constantly messing up ganks, or I can counter gank you. But now there is no incentive to do that. The only incentive is to counter gank when someone's ganking. Which I'm well for people who don't know what counter ganking is, like you gank at the same time the other jungler's coming up to gank their lane. You show up at that exact moment to counter gank them because sometimes they either blew all their CC or they're just not expecting it. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so uh, it's like that game that I used to love is almost like inside of League of Legends, inside of the regular game, it's almost gone at this point because it's like they just dumbed it down so much to where it's like you just do this and that's it. Like they even dumbed down tethering and leashing camps to where like there's a range now. I mean, there's always been an aggro range, but they made it significantly shorter so that you can't like tether two of them together and take both of them at the same time. Because I used to be able to
Yeah,
do
I
that
noticed that. Yeah,
and that used to take skill to do that type of shit. You had to learn the aggro ranges and everything. And didn't have the aggro ranges weren't even on the field like they are now. So you had to learn how to do that shit and you had to learn your champion's abilities, but they took all that away. And I don't know if it's a good change or a bad change. So I'm still up in the air about it. And that's like I said, maybe I just need to get good at the new style of jungling and I'll get better. Like I did take I did take a couple months off this game, and I started playing it again heavy when we all started playing again. So, um, yeah, that's just my only gripe with the game.
I mean, if you ever feeling like you want a little bit more complexity in your mobile life, I mean, Dota's sitting there, bro. It's I've lost that battle, but I don't know. Like playing bot ADC is fun. I do enjoy the role. I do think I'm good at the role as well. But I think part of our problem is like some of our teamwork sometimes as a group of five is not always there. You know, which I think is this is where League is like really unforgiving to me. Because Dota gives you a lot of chances, because it has the whole buyback mechanic and stuff, and it's a lot harder to just destroy the base in 2 seconds, after 20 minutes, the way it is in League. So like if we have like one late game, if we have like one fuck up where one person does the wrong thing and like isn't in a fight or doesn't contribute to a fight at all, and we lose the fight and we get team wiped, like the game's fucking over, dude. You know.
Mhm.
So the game is really unforgiving in that way, and that's one thing I wish they would change up a little bit because it feels really bad. Like there was that one game against that Xerath scripter you were talking about where, dude, I was having a great game. I was like, I think I was like 16-5 or something like that.
Yeah,
And
you're definitely carrying.
yeah,
Um,
I was fucking wrecking people, dude. And like, but like, I was the only one on the team in that space. So when we were in team fights, it was important for me to make sure I didn't get fucking killed first, you know.
mhm.
And we had this confrontation at Baron, and the fucking scripting Xerath used his ultimate on me and hit me 3 or 4 times with it, and I just died. We weren't even fighting, dude. He just cast it and hit me 3 or 4 times with, I assume, is no vision, which fucking whatever, like fuck that guy. But point being is that I died in a situation that I felt like I didn't have really control of, and then the game ended. They came to base and killed us before I respawned. Like, so that was the end of the game. The game was over. Like, it was like, that was like, what the it was almost one that was probably the most unsatisfying game I played so far. To have that
Mhm.
happen, because it was just fucking bullshit. Like, it just felt like bullshit, you know? And like, I have no way to come back. Like, I can't buy myself back the way I could in Dota and like get right into the fight, you know, when they're in our base, you know. So,
Yeah.
I think that's just something that I have a hard time like wrapping my head around, why the game is so fucking brutal late game, you know, like that. Like, it is so swingy, you know. It's like, you know, if you fuck up like that, like, you really can just go win the game, you know. Like, if your team is powerful enough and you get a 5 man like wipe on the enemy team. So,
Yeah.
um but yeah, no, I'm still enjoying it though a lot. I love the fact that we are playing something like this together as a group of 5. We don't have any randos, you know, like most of the time. But I think I might start playing top a little bit more, just to fuck around with it and learn, and maybe push some people to try other roles too, you know, because I don't think we have the right role composition for everybody necessarily right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's also hurting us a bit. So yeah.
Yeah, but that's all I got though.
Okay, fair enough. Let's get into the news. Now we're 30 minutes in. We don't have too much today, so we'll probably blast through this. But our first story was a Bloomberg report from Jason Schreier about 343 Industries. So obviously there were the layoffs. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago that we talked about that hit 343. Jason did go into this a little bit more in depth and mentioned that a lot of it was contractors, but there was also a lot of high end leadership, director level, that was let go as part of these layoffs, meaning that this studio is kind of, I think, going through a bit of a reboot. And he mentioned in the article that they are indeed working on another Halo game already, and it is going to be kind of a bit of a reboot for the franchise. So, there's not much more here to talk about specifically on that front. I just kind of wanted to mention this though, so we could talk about what they're, if if they are making a new Halo game after axing this many employees. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think 343 are still the right studio to be making these games?
Uh, no. Unfortunately, I do not. We gave them. Yeah, it's been 10 years at this point since Halo 4. 11 years actually. It came out in 2012. We gave them 11 years to make a good Halo game. And they always failed on one front or another. There's never, and there's no such thing as a perfect game. Um, but they either lose fronts on one end or lose fronts on the other end. And it's not just like it's drastic stuff on one end or the other end. Like for Halo 4, like to be honest, everything was not good about Halo 4. Except for maybe the story was like really good.
Hmm.
As far as Master Chief and Cortana's development as characters, and their relationship. That was really good. But everything else, not good. Halo 5, I personally feel like the multiplayer was exceptional. It was like the perfect Halo. It was like the perfect blend between a more fast paced Halo and the standard Halo that we know.
Hmm.
But in the same sense, no split screen, and the story, that single player campaign was absolute dog shit. You don't even have to get into why. Let's just say the marketing campaign totally misled everybody. And then you have Halo Infinite. Oh, I'm sorry. Then before that, or after that, rather, No, I think it was before. Before Halo 5, we had the Master Chief Collection, which came out. All they had to do, all they had to do was remaster the games and like, do multiplayer aspect for them. All those games, the
Mhm.
multiplayer component did not work for them at all. The single
Yeah.
player worked very fine. The multiplayer was completely broken for about almost a half. I think it was almost half a year. I don't think it was a whole year. I think it was like half a year. It was broken. And then uh Halo Infinite, and we all know that what Halo Infinite had. So I feel like we gave this team 4 games to try, and they just didn't get it done. And I'm not one for like firing people. I'm If you're gonna keep the team, you gotta restructure the entire team, which it sounds like they did. Um, but I don't know whether you get new people in there or whatever. I don't know what the thing to do is because I'm not a manager. So I guess this is where I'll be asking you because I mean you're at like a higher level up than me as far as like
Mhm.
stuff like that. You're a manager, so it's like what would you do in this situation if you gave your team projects? Let's just say you got a team of 4 people and you
Mhm.
gave them a project, and you're like, okay, guys, I gave you this project. I gave you 4 times to do this project.
Mhm.
And each time it was a 60% effort. I mean, it came out to like a D, a 60%. Like, what would you do as as an overseer or whatever?
Oh man, it's a hard question because I'm like in the position I'm in right now. I'm more middle management, so I would personally just get directly involved and like rectify the situation.
Yeah.
I don't think I would allow the team to output that kind of thing from the get go. Like if I felt that that was happening, like we were putting out subpar work, I would just get in there mud with them and take corrective action that way.
Hmm.
Um, which you could do that on a more mass level here, right? But that requires leaders who understand what their teams are doing, and have the ability and skills to contribute in that way. So that's one method. I think from a higher level, it's it's kind of hard to say because obviously leadership is like the first thing you're going to point to, right? Is teams ultimately tend to reflect their leadership. Whatever form that takes, it's not always the same. Um, but the results can reflect or tend to reflect that leadership. So clearly that hasn't been working. And the fact that they are letting leaders go, I think, is the right approach. If you're going to keep this studio and keep them on Halo, like you really have to um I like you really do need to build this studio from the ground up. Honestly, almost like I'm not saying get rid of everybody, but which clearly they're not. I think you keep the
Yeah.
key people that are like kind of your superstars, and you kind of let go of a lot of the chaff, and you start smaller and build the team as you go, probably. And clearly, I think that's their approach here, and they're going to give this team time to make the next game. But they already did that with Infinite, right? And the result was what it was. So I don't. That's why my stance at this point is, like, not only do I agree with you that they need to take Halo away from 343 and give it to somebody else. I want to go a step further. I would just say, dude, put it on ice. If something doesn't work 4 times, like to your original question, maybe stop doing that thing. you know,
Yeah.
maybe it's not that your team isn't, isn't working hard or isn't doing things in an efficient way. Maybe they're just not good at the thing you're trying to make them do, you know. And I think it's become clear that 343 is not the team to shepherd Halo. Like it's not the studio to shepherd Halo. And to me, it's been dragged through, I don't want to say the mud, but it's been dragged enough that I think it is time to put Halo on ice for several years. I'm talking 5 to 10, like put it to sleep for a while and wait until somebody has an actual new idea to contribute to the franchise to do something new and interesting with it, and then you bring it back. Because I think right now, because think about God of War, right? God of War is like the perfect corollary to this for me with Sony, where you had, the first 3 games, right? They're all great games in their own right for different reasons. Then you had a couple portable games that are pretty well liked overall. And then you had um Ascension after that. That was like a total miss. Like it was the franchise was getting stale, at the point that Ascension came out, to the point that they're fucking putting multiplayer in the game and shit. Like, who wanted that in
Yeah.
God of War? You know? And what did Sony do? They put God of War on ice, dude. Like, there was like a 6 or 7 year gap between Ascension and God of War 2018, you know?
Yeah.
And they didn't necessarily put it on ice in the sense that they weren't immediately working on God of War 2018, but they they had a new approach to it though. It was a fresh approach and they changed up what the franchise is and it worked fucking beautifully, They now have
Hmm.
two hyper successful games. They have reestablished God of War as a dominant franchise for their brand. Microsoft's got to do that with Halo, dude, And to me it's like, does that mean they need to change genres entirely? Like go away from first person shooters? Not necessarily, but maybe it's time to do something fucking weird with Halo, dude. Like make a fucking RPG or something. I
Well,
don't, I don't
I
fucking know. Like a Mass Effect style RPG that could be interesting. Like, you
yeah, I
know,
mean, I think the God of War thing is a very excellent comparison, because yeah, Kratos is still it was still third person action.
mm-hmm.
Both of them are actually they're still third person action. It's a perspective change a little bit.
Yep,
They put the camera directly behind Kratos instead of a far out camera to look at the whole arena that you're fighting in or battlefield that you're fighting on.
yep, yep,
There's still puzzles and there's still everything. So it's still the same God of War, but it's more personal. And I always thought, um, what could work for Halo is make it a more. You can still keep the first person aspect of it, make it more tactical.
yeah,
Like, why don't we get a very tactical, almost Rainbow Six esque uh
mm,
Halo, because that's what I thought they were gonna do when they made, they're like, oh, we got the director who made, fucking Star Republic Commandos to make Halo 5 campaign, and I thought they were gonna do that, and it's like, personally, that's always what I wanted from a Halo game, where I'm Master Chief and I'm commanding my soldiers to go into different places, and I
yeah,
think that's
yeah,
what you do. You put the game on ice for about 4 or 5 years, and you don't say anything about it, and then you come back and you make this really cool tactical Halo game, because I think that's because even Modern Warfare did it right. Call of Duty never really went on ice, but they put the Modern Warfare franchise on ice, and
mm-hmm.
then they came back with this cool fucking sleek tactical Modern Warfare game. Now the gameplay is not tactical, but
Yeah,
it's like the the tone of it, and even the multiplayer is a little bit more tactical. It's not over the top set pieces and everything like that, how old Modern Warfare was.
mm-hmm.
And maybe you could do that with Halo. Like, you just be like, hey, you can either be Master Chief and you have a team now or whatever, or you can just be the ODSTs and you're regular human people, but you're all tactical and everything like that. So I mean that would be cool. I think that's what they should do. They should think of something else. Maybe they do make it third person. I don't fucking know. But like, yeah, just like you said, step away from it and work on something completely different, or not completely different, but you know just think
Something
outside the
fresh,
box.
something fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could even go in the other direction from what you said, and like, I don't. This is risky, but give it to id and make like almost like a Doom style fucking Halo game. It's like it would be faster, sure, certainly, because Doom is like fucking hyper arcadey, um, but Halo's not that far removed from that style as it stands today. So I don't know, like something, something to make it fresh, right?
Yeah.
So I
No,
don't know.
I agree. It just needs something. I think it does need to take a break um from it, and yeah, just I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we don't fucking know. But like,
Yeah, true. Truly, we probably don't.
yeah, yeah, so I don't know.
But
But
all right,
yeah, that's all I got.
all right, let's move on. Our next story is about E3. So it is. It's been reported by IGN that Xbox, Nintendo, and Sony won't be at E3 2023. So this has been
Jesus
covered
Christ.
as like a major news story, and that's kind of how IGN approached it because they called it an exclusive. And to be honest, I put this in here because I mean we care about E3 on the show, but I don't think this is a big news story because like Sony hasn't been at E3 since fucking 2019, and Nintendo has been in and out of E3 for the last decade, doing their own thing with the Nintendo Directs, and then Xbox is really the only one that's been at E3, but even last year they did their own thing. So, um, this isn't a huge surprise to me, but you have any specific thoughts on this?
No, we kind of called it like 2021. I think we called it.
No,
Well, even
2020, I
before,
think.
yeah, 2020 we called it, but I would chalk that up to like the pandemic.
COVID, yeah.
So, but even before then, in 2019, I mean, when was the last time that we had a super exciting E3? Because when did we start recording? In 2018?
It was 2019. That was the one. Honestly, that was the only one we've ever covered that was like actually exciting. Was the
Okay.
2019 one?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It really wasn't. All the other hype moments we had were like around the PlayStation Hill showcase and then
Hmm.
the Nintendo Directs and stuff like that. E3 for me has been it hasn't been as impactful. I like the season because a lot of news usually comes out around that season. Um, but yeah, I'm not surprised at all, and I'm surprised that IGN is surprised. So I don't know.
I mean, they don't break a lot of stories anymore, so they got to take what they can get, right? All right, let's move on. This is actually a very interesting news story. So Embracer, they bought Tomb Raider from Square, amongst other things, for $300 million last year, and it's already being rumored. There's already a rumor floating around out there that Amazon is looking to potentially buy the Tomb Raider IP from Embracer for $600 million. So this one's funny, but there's a few angles on this. I mean, because we know a Tomb Raider game is in development at Crystal Dynamics right now from Embracer, but it is being published by Amazon, which is a clue towards this potentially being true. Because
Yeah.
it is fucking weird that Embracer's not publishing it, and it was always weird that Embracer wasn't publishing it. So that might have been an early tell that this was in the works. But what do you think of this, Montreal? You think this is true?
Yes, only because I think that's the only reason I put the article in here is because they're publishing that Tomb Raider game that's coming out,
Yep.
and I don't know where I heard it from, but I knew that they wanted always like Amazon wanted to get Tomb Raider before they wanted to do a TV show for it,
Yeah.
and it was up in the air around that time where they're like, oh, we're trying to do like Lord of the Rings and all other shit like that, and like Tomb Raider was mentioned, but that was like a rumor because I think Square at the time still had Tomb Raider, um, so like it wasn't really
Yeah.
even consulted at that moment. So that's why for me, like this is all coming together, and I think Tomb Raider as a brand will work as a TV show. I just think it's very TV show esque.
Oh, they could
Uh,
totally do it like, more
yeah,
serialized, like Monster of the Week kind of thing, even though it's not
yeah.
monsters, but like
Like
location of the
uh
week.
location of the week, yeah.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I think it would be really cool. Or they can do like a location of the season or something like that, or every 2 or 3 episodes or some shit like that. So it's like
There's a
it's
lot
a
of ways you
very
could do it. Yeah.
yeah, it's a very palatable franchise to digest. And I don't know, this just seems really cool. I always thought Tomb Raider was worth more than Square sold it off for, so that's why I was like, that's pretty weird that Square sold it off for that little.
God, they
Um
were really looking to offload it, dude. Like that and Deus Ex. It's crazy because
yeah.
yeah, this is a much more appropriate price for Tomb Raider alone. 600 million for just Tomb Raider is a much more appropriate price to me than what Embracer bought it for originally. So it does kind of beg the question though: why is Embracer selling it? Like, did they just recognize that it was a cheap price and they were getting something really valuable for a low price that they could then flip immediately for like double the profit? Um,
Yes,
like,
I think so.
yeah, you think so? So
I The reason I think so, and I'm not trying to. say I'm a fucking business tycoon or I went to school with the MBA degree or whatever. But
Yeah.
Square has some of the worst business choices I've ever seen a company of that magnitude have. And the reason I say that is because they already came out with another, well, not another, but their last like quarterly's calling or yearly calling or like their white paper that they give to their investors for the year, like their goals. They, I mean, we all know what they said. I want to get more into the NFTs and crypto, and it's like, bro, what?
That was a
And this is
what
all right.
last year, dude. And then yeah, now he doubled down again this year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did last year. He doubled down again this year, or going into this year. He doubled down again, and that's how I think they they got duped. I think Embracer was like, "Hey, man, we'll give you 300 million," and somebody in there listened to somebody like, "Yo, Tomb Raider is worth a lot more." You remember the Angelina Jolie movies? And they're probably like, "Yeah," and then they're like, "Okay, yeah, we'll buy it for 300 million. We got that money."
Well, dude, it
And
almost
now they
makes you
were,
wonder, like, the head count they have was probably worth, like a third of that alone, you know? Like, I don't
I
know.
will say this: I wouldn't be surprised if Embracer uh, sells the TV rights to a Deus Ex. Like,
Yeah.
why haven't we had a Deus Ex TV show?
Ooh,
You
that'd be
know,
good. That could be fucking good,
or a
man.
movie or
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh,
And
Day Sex movie? Hell yeah. Let's go.
yeah, so it's like, and then the last Tomb Raider movie we did have in 2018 was not good
Yeah.
at all. Um, so it's like Square clearly doesn't care about their Western IPs as much as we thought they did. And I think Square bought these companies too, by the way, when getting all the Western appeal was the hype. Because remember, Capcom made their transition to like Western, the appeal of Western games around this time. And then
Yeah.
Square did it as well. It was a lot of Eastern companies like either folding up or getting sold off because everybody, even in Japan, the companies in Japan wanted to appeal to the West more. So I think uh, they were just trying to get rid of that offload, but I also think that they also got caught in a bad position because their CEO right now is really focused on hemorrhaging NFTs and cryptocurrency and stuff like that. So that's how I think they were like kind of duped.
Hmm.
I imagine some people were like really upset by this move, to be honest with you.
Dude, if I was internal at Square, like HQ, and I saw that deal, I'd be like, what? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, I would have been pissed. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, Embracer, they've I don't know. They're so weird because they bought so much shit. They have so many studios, so many IPs. But I will say, I feel like they've always been pretty savvy overall.
Hmm.
So, um, this is honestly a savvy move. I mean, if you can have the studio make games, make that part of this deal that if you're going to make more Tomb Raider games, you need to use us, like we need to be your partner for those, at least going for a certain period of time probably. And we already have Crystal Dynamics who has made the last 3 Tomb Raider games anyways, so it's like why would Amazon say no to that necessarily, So
Yeah,
I think it's kind of a win-win for both companies, it feels like. And I actually like this better ultimately than this IP being stuck with Embracer. I think Embracer owning Tomb Raider is fucking weird, and I don't really like that very much. Like I think it's too big of an IP to be with a company like them. And as much as I don't necessarily want Amazon to have it either, they can at least do more with it than Embracer can. So I don't know. We'll see what comes of it.
yeah,
All right, moving on. Our next story is about Respawn and EA. So there was a report that came out. I believe this was also from Bloomberg. Yes, it was. That EA and Respawn were working on an unannounced Titanfall game. It was called Titanfall Legends, tentatively, and this was a single player game that has been canceled. um it was never announced, so this isn't like it wasn't an official game that we knew about necessarily. But they also canceled, like right around the same time, the mobile version of Apex Legends and Battlefield, and they shuttered a studio called Industrial Toys. So um mainly wanted to talk about this Titanfall Legends cancellation in game, but Um, what do you think about this, Montreal?
I think it's very unfortunate. Yeah, I just heard some stuff surrounding the game that was really shaping up to be nice. Um, but yeah, unfortunately they canceled it. Um, and I personally think it was because it was a single player game. Uh, they didn't think they were probably going to get their revenue back. I mean, we know how EA is. They probably had some kind of quote like, "Oh, we released a little bit too many single player games, over the past, So uh, that's what I think. Because I mean, they released like what 2 or 3. They're releasing Jedi Outcast or Jedi uh
Survivor.
I
Yeah.
cannot Survivor. And I think last like 2 years ago they released Jedi Fallen Order, 2 or 3 years ago, Fallen Order, and then we just got the Dead Space remake, and I think they did another single player game.
Hmm.
But yeah, I I'm at this point, I think Titanfall is dead. The Apex Legends, it's Apex Legends universe now. Unfortunately, um, I think the team is never going to forget its roots with Titanfall, but I feel like now Titanfall is officially dead. Like
But
we're
that
not going to get another Titanfall.
eventually those people aren't going to be at the studio anymore, like
Exactly.
so that those roots will slowly but surely fade away. Yeah, I think that's the disappointing part about this news is that I mean Titanfall is kind of taking blow after blow since Apex Legends came out, and this is just another blow to add to that because the idea that they were making a game, I think we didn't know about it, and we didn't think they ever would, right?
Hmm.
Um, because I mean they've literally referred to this IP as the Apex Legends, universe rather than Titanfall, even though
Yeah.
that's originally what it is. So, given that, it's not surprising, but the fact that they were making a game though, and they, who knows how long they had necessarily been working on it, but damn, dude, like, it, just sucks that they are totally doing away with it. So I kind of agree with you. I think Titanfall is probably dead or in big trouble, or not in big trouble, but like Titanfall, the name Titanfall is probably not coming back. Um,
Yeah, it's just very unfortunate. The first game I think was pretty I think it was revolutionary for its time. It was a strictly online game, where the campaign was even tied to the online thing
yeah,
as well. Um, but now we see a lot of games doing that now. So I think it was like the first of its kind to do that. It was revolutionary as far as that. And on top of that, the movement was crazy. Like you still wall run and jumping these titans that are following you around. And the biggest thing that held it back was the campaign because a lot at that time, campaign in multiplayer games were still regarded as somewhat.
mm.
And then Titanfall 2, that game is actually perfect. It has a really solid campaign, and the multiplayer is really fucking good. EA purposely killed that game because they didn't want to upset their Battlefield game. And then it came out after Battlefield, and then it came out right before Call of Duty.
Well, yeah, they bought Respawn after Titanfall 1,
Hmm.
because Titanfall 1 was very successful for them. And then yeah, Titanfall 2, they literally pigeonholed it between Battlefield and Call of Duty, like you said. And by pigeonholed it within a week of both of those
Yes.
games coming out. Like
Yes.
like we're not it wasn't like a month. Like they fucking like totally fucked the game. Like it felt very purposeful at the
Yeah.
time. And yeah, they've pretty much done their best to just kill Titanfall since then. So,
Yeah. I mean, we had that big hack that happened last year, or was it last year or a year before last, where the someone hacked Titanfall or hacked Apex Legends to give attention to Titanfall because Titanfall 2 was just in a total state of like disarray.
yeah.
And it's still like that, to be honest with you. Um,
God, this game
and
looks
nothing.
badass, dude.
Yeah.
I'm
And
watching gameplay right now. Yeah, it looks
yeah.
really good.
Yeah, it was then in Titanfall 2 they took the different classes that you had as far as the Titans you had, and they had all different move sets and everything. It was insane. A lot of people don't know is a lot of the pilot skills or powers that you had are the same skills that the original 12 characters of Apex Legends they have.
Yeah.
Uh
Well, the guns
so
too. I'm seeing a lot of the
yeah,
guns from Apex, basically, like
yep,
in a
the
lot of
the
this
same
gameplay.
guns and everything. That charge rifle, alternator and the 301 are more or like the most iconic ones that came from like Titanfall. Rafe's Portal, one of the characters, that's a actual move inside Titanfall. Obviously the hook, the grapple hook from fucking Pathfinder, the jetpacks. Uh, yeah, it's a lot of similarities between these characters and the Titanfall skills or whatever. So I don't know. I feel bad for that team. I feel bad for like whoever was like the start of Titanfall because now Apex Legends is like, I mean, I guess that's good for them because Apex Legends is still set in the same universe, but we don't see none of the mechs or none of that. Like you see nothing related to like Titanfall except for like maybe the design of the robots, um, like Pathfinder and Revenant and stuff like that in
Yeah.
Ash.
Yeah.
But we don't see anything else besides that. It's almost like Apex Legends is its own fucking universe. To be honest with you, if you told somebody, if you told me today that Apex Legends is actually in the Titanfall universe, I would like, okay, whatever. I don't fucking care. Like, I like Apex Legends. Like, that's cool, bro. Like,
Yeah.
that's how it is.
It's
So
not really
I don't know.
relevant to the game, you know? It's not like
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
important to the game in any real
Yeah.
way.
So, I don't know. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yep. Well, yeah, this gameplay right now, the guy's got a flat line.
Yeah.
It's funny, man.
Oh, and then for the mobile division, I feel like I didn't even know there was a Battlefield Mobile. I didn't know.
Me either. We knew about Apex
Yeah,
because
we
it
knew about
always makes
Apex.
the normal game look embarrassing, you know?
Exactly.
Just funny as hell.
But I think they had like one bad quarterly, one bad earnings one corner, and then like, yeah, we're shutting it down. That to me is insane. I don't know who's running EA. Once again, I'm not a business major person, but shutting down a project that's guaranteed to bring you in money after like one bad, I don't know, maybe it's like a cost effective thing. Maybe the costs aren't worth it. I don't fucking know. I'm not in there, but it just seems crazy to me. Like that's a crazy thing to do. But hey,
Well,
whatever.
people are saying too, I saw this a lot, that Apex Legends Mobile had only been out for 8 months, and I'm like, that is not true, dude. Like,
I think it's been out for a year.
it's been out for way longer than that, dude. We've been playing Apex for like 3 years, or yeah, 3 years.
Apex Mobile is new. Is relatively new.
It's not that new, dude. It's been out since like before. I feel like before Horizon,
No,
man.
I don't think so, man.
I'm
I don't think
I
so.
don't know. We've been talking about Apex Mobile for a long time. But I don't know. I'll look it up.
It came out, yeah, actually, yeah, May 17th, 2022.
No way, man.
That's the
There's
initial
no
date.
way. I don't
Yeah.
believe that. Like, no, this is bullshit. Something's up with the Matrix right now because I'm telling you, man,
No, I think
we have been talking about this game. We've been talking about Apex Legends Mobile a lot longer than May 17th, 2022. Because bro, we
I
weren't playing the game at that point last year, you know? Like
yeah, we were.
we
We've been playing
weren't.
Apex for a while.
Dude,
Bro, we've been
no.
playing Apex for at least 2
We've
years.
taken huge breaks with Apex.
I know, but we were playing in May last year,
I
bro.
don't I don't know. I don't feel like I don't
We
know.
were.
Maybe we
I
were. Maybe
just
we were.
started playing heavy like last year, but you and Jet, y'all were definitely playing for about a good year and a half.
But dude, I remember like Phase came out, and I feel like that was more than a year ago.
No, what happened was Phase was supposed to come out,
Yeah.
and then it got pushed, and then we got the rumor of Apex Mobile. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I don't.
Yeah, we I thought we covered it, but we got the rumor of the mobile coming out for a while, and I think maybe we even joked about it, and then it actually fucking happened, and then it came out.
Like, am I in a time vortex?
Maybe.
I feel like we've been talking about Apex Legends Mobile for like 2 years
So
now.
there has been a lot of mobile games that are on console. So I will say
I
that.
just no.
So
Is my perception of time that like off
I,
that I feel like it's been 2 years since like Apex Legends Mobile came out? Like what the fuck, dude? I don't know.
I think where you're getting it mixed up at, to be honest with you, I'll be 100% honest with you. PUBG Mobile came out, and we were talking about that a lot.
No, that's not what it is, man. That isn't what it is. I'm telling you. I'm fucking telling you. I don't know. I'm having a moment
Because
right
we were
now.
also the same similarities that we were saying with PUBG Mobile. They had a better like
No,
everything
but I
than the
remember
original
the
game.
Legends. We were talking about shit they were doing with Legends. Like they had like exclusive skins and like characters and shit.
Yeah,
Like,
that was last year.
man, I feel like it was much longer ago than that. But
No,
I don't know.
it does feel longer. I think I always say like the pandemic was some kind of like time warp. I think that's when the timeline splits. That's it.
No,
The
Donald Trump getting
pandemic.
elected was when the timeline split.
Yeah, that was when the timeline
Yeah,
split, bro.
we
Like I
went
think
into the
that's what
dark
happened.
timeline where the pandemic happened and, fucking God, and Titanfall got destroyed.
Yeah, I think that's what happened, man. I
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly that's the weirdest conspiracy theory, but I think that's what wholeheartedly happened. I think we went
I've
into a
contended that since he was elected, that we have entered a different timeline. It is still one of the most bizarre things that has ever like, there will probably be nothing in my life that will top Donald Trump being elected president of the United States.
it's
Like,
it,
it
I
is
know
so
this is not a
bizarre.
political podcast, y'all, but I really got to get this off my chest. That those 4 years were probably some of the weirdest 4 years of my entire life. Not even joking with you, and it wasn't strictly due to Donald Trump. It was just like Justin said, something happened in the universe. I
Mhm.
don't think he was supposed to win. Like, I
Mhm.
really don't think he
Mhm.
was supposed to win.
Mhm.
He won. And the universe went out of whack. And I know there are other people. Like, if y'all please message me and tell me y'all don't feel the same way because that was like a timeline shift.
Mhm.
Like everything went out of whack that after that. And it's just been going steadily down that path.
Yeah, and it never corrected itself. Like, Biden getting elected didn't fix anything. Like, it didn't
Yeah.
like change things back. Like, we're still in this weird timeline, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's I've
Bro, 2016
it's
was
like the
7 years ago.
I know, isn't that insane? But it's like the height. It's like the height of conspiracy theory. There's no evidence whatsoever of what we're saying, but it just feels that way, man. I'm telling you, dude. Like, there's just a different vibe of things pre 2016, like to now. Like,
Yeah.
it was a different time. People were different. Humans. Like, I feel like the human race like fucking veered, like took a hard right turn. At that moment. And
Yeah.
we like totally changed directions. Like, our trajectory like completely changed because I I mean, I remember vitriol pre 2016. There was definitely vitriol on the internet. I mean, I remember Gamergate and shit like that, happened,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's not at the level we're at now though, dude. Like, I feel like the last 7 years the discourse as is always it's either always political or always toxic in some way. There's just no like benign discourse anymore online. And
yeah. We just
yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah,
Anyways,
I've been the same way. I can't remember 2021. Not 2021. I can't remember 2020. 2020 and 2021 get really,
no, I
really.
remember 2020, 2021. I'm with you. I don't remember 2021 at all, dude.
Yeah, they kind
I'm
of
like,
meld in for
what
me.
the
Like I get
fuck?
those years mixed up a lot for me. Um, it's just weird, man. It's
Because
just
yeah,
weird.
2021 is when like everybody quit my job.
Oh,
Like, all my coworkers quit. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I don't want to remember that year actually. Anyways, all right, let's move on
yeah,
to our final story of the week. EA and Respawn have confirmed that Star Wars Jedi Survivor is being delayed to April 28th. It was originally coming out on March 17th. It is getting a month delay. This is likely a just polish and clean up delay more than likely. But Montreal, do you think there's going to be another delay, or do you think they're going to hit this date?
no, I don't even think it was a polished thing. I think there's too many games coming around out around that time.
Oh, you think it's more strategic?
Yeah, I think
I
they
like that
moved it.
theory.
You got Hard Wars Legacy, and I think there's some more games coming out in May,
Oh,
or
dude,
I'm sorry,
no.
March.
No, yeah, February, March, and early April are packed. I think
Yeah,
they're getting out of the window. They're going to the end of the
yeah,
window, and I actually agree with you, which is funny because you would think Star Wars would be the thing that would suck everything else, would like suck all the oxygen out. But Um, maybe they think they're gonna suck so much oxygen that they don't want anything to remotely compete with them at all. Like,
Yeah, I think they put a
um,
lot of money in this game. And they want their money back up front.
yeah,
Oh,
I think it makes sense. But yeah, I'm actually, I mean, honestly, I'm happy about this because it gives us a little breathing room on the pod to play, some of the new shit coming out.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, this is good. I think it's fine. I think they'll hit the date. I think it's a good theory though. I think you might be right. I think this is probably more of a strategic move. Give the team a little bit more time too. I mean, they do get a little bit more time to polish the game up, so which can never,
yeah.
literally never hurt. you know.
Yep.
So, so that'll be good as well. But, all right. Well, Montreal, we haven't done this in a while. I just kind of wanted to cap the show off this week, with the guess the Metascore segment. We haven't done this in like months, but because I literally always forget to do it. But I was thinking about it today, and I was like, you know what, Hogwarts Legacy is coming out next week, and I feel like that would be a very interesting game to try to guess the ultimate Metascore for it because of all the controversy and so many outlets saying they're not gonna cover it, they're not gonna review it and stuff like that. Like
Really? Wow.
where do you think this game's gonna land in terms of score?
So just from the recent, footage I saw, I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Man, you went right next to where I wanted to go. Okay, 8.5. I was thinking 8.6.
Okay.
And I think I'm gonna stick with that. I mean,
Okay.
we don't have to deviate that much from each other. It's not like really nobody really cares. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I'm thinking 8.6 because I think it's gonna get dragged up by the fact that there are reviewers like sites that are not gonna cover the game at all, meaning that those are places that more than likely would have given the game a scathing review if they did review it, which is probably gonna bring the average score up overall, in my opinion. Um, so that's kind of my thought.
Uh, I think it's gonna get review bombed to shit. Um,
Right, we're
Unfortunately.
talking about, so when we do this game, we're talking about the critical score from
Yeah.
critics, like actual sites, not the user score.
Yeah.
That is impossible to guess because you're right; it's going to get review bombed. It's also going to
Yeah.
get reverse bombed. People giving it tens,
Exactly. Yep.
because
So
it owned the libs.
yep.
God.
So yeah, I don't think I think 8.5 is really where it's at. To me, when a game point play I've seen so far, I'm like, this is about a solid 8.5.
Yeah.
I can even go as low as a 7. But like I said, I'm not a Harry Potter fan like that. So for me, it is like a solid 8. I like the gameplay mechanics, like when I'm seeing like that and everything of
Mhm.
that nature. Um, I think if Harry Potter fans get their hands on it, especially reviewers are Harry Potter fans, it's easily going to be a 9 or a 10, like easily.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
looking forward to this game, dude. I'm
yeah.
I'm I'm very excited for it. I don't think I'm gonna get it on launch next week because I still got a lot of Fire Emblem left to chew, but
Hmm.
um I think once I'm done with that, I'm probably jumping into this next. So um I'm 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 ready to go for this one. Um so yeah. All right. Well, Montreal, that's all we got today. Let's get the hell out of here. So, if you guys like this episode, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please share it with your friends. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thundernut01, and the show is at the Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that is going to be it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you